John to connect. I don't know why it's taking him so long. As I said earlier, we're going to have rotating folks through here, a lot of different opinions, a lot of different people, a lot of races we're following, obviously. What haven't we looked at in a while? Let's take a look at Ohio and see what's going on there. These are the latest numbers according to Fox News, but DeWine with 56%, Whaley, his challenger, 44%, yet we still are upside down with the Vance-Ryan race. Numbers, polls before tonight were indicating Vance had the advantage. I suppose that, again, this is just a matter of waiting till more precincts report. Only 31% reporting at this point. Vince, got an opinion on Ohio?
I've always thought that Ohio is one of those places where the Republicans could actually do well tonight and actually pick up a couple of those seats. There's really not much of the early results that give you enough, right? Listen, Cleveland, Toledo, Columbus, we know where they're going to go. As long as everything else goes the way it should, and it looks like it's actually trending that way, it should be okay. I just saw an updated forecast that they're saying Republicans could be up around 232, 233 in the House tonight when it's over.
Wow.
So we'll take that, right? We'll take that.
Let's burn down the House. Let's burn it down.
Okay, I'm going to update these numbers. These are races that have been called, 39 for Republicans at this point and 21 for Democrats. In the House, it's still 35-39 Republicans, Democrats in the Senate. One of the things that's not talked about a lot is that this is a tough map. This was a tough year based on the map for Republicans, particularly in the Senate. There were more incumbent Republicans that were up for re-election than Democrats, and the map in general was tough. But yet, it does appear, if we can be optimistic about this, that the Republicans will end up with at least a 1 or 2 seat majority in the Senate. But then, Vince, does that give the president a scapegoat for all the failures?
He can try, but I think it's also going to give, yes, is the easy answer to that. But at the same time, it's also going to give the Republicans a platform to be able to push their agenda on the White House and pass things that he's going to have to now either sign or veto and force. That's the one thing that I really believe the Republicans are going to have to do, whether it's one or both houses. They are going to have to hold Democrats' feet to the fire on a lot of these important issues that they were elected in on. If you remember post 94, when Gingrich took over as Speaker, that's a lot of what they did. They had an agenda that they said was a referendum from the people for the people that they brought to the White House and made the president either you're with us or you're against us, and by saying that you're either with the people or against the people. And I believe the Republicans are going to be in that same vein. And the hope is that a Speaker McCarthy is going to play. We need to play offense. We no longer have to be back on our heels. We're no longer have to play defense all the time. We have an opportunity to play offense, and we're going to have to do that and be aggressive about it. So that's going to be the key, is if it's making that transition from the minority to majority and doing it the right way.
JR, any surprises? You're staring intently at a number of screens. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I just saw an update in Georgia. Walker's closed to only 4 down with 47% in now. So what I just talked about as being a little concerning actually just changed. So he was down 10 here, essentially for the last 45 minutes or hour, and now that's a 51-47. So that's trending now more in line with Kemp and Abrams. So I think that will still be close, but I like to see that.
Well, that's encouraging. BA, one of the things that the Republicans have kind of walked a tightrope on is this idea of spending a lot of time, resources, and effort into investigations and, trying to hold some of these 3-letter agencies accountable for what they've been doing, maybe hold the Biden family accountable for what it's been doing, and certainly other things. Is there a priority list there for you as far as what the Republicans should do, not legislatively, but as far as trying to bring this government back into an accepted parameter of legitimacy and normalcy?
I think that they should get their asses in gear, and they need to go to like the back surgeon and get and take out their yellow spine and get some sort of steel rod and have it replaced into their spine. What I'm really disappointed and upset about is McCarthy, McConnell, Romney, Murkowski, all of those swamp creatures, and I don't think we're going to get anything done with those people in there. We're not. They say they're Republicans, but they're not. If we keep those people in and we don't get any fresh blood, I don't see them doing anything. It's like a Trey Gowdy. Trey Gowdy was down here in South Carolina, and he talked a good game about Benghazi and blah, 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 and nothing happened. Yeah. Nothing happened. And he was actually given material from Benghazi. There were boots on the ground, eyes on the ground, I guess you would call them, eyes in the sky, and he did nothing. So I want to see, that's why I love MTG, Bobart, Gates. I love those people because they're alphas and they're doing the will of the people. But to me, those rhinos are the same people as the Democrats or socialists, what they are now. So I really don't have, I don't want to say I don't have hope, but I'm not going to hold my breath because I'll have to pick out a coffin. I don't know if that's going to really happen. I mean, I want them to go after Biden and, 10% to the big guy. It's the laptop from hell. Absolutely. And personally for me, I really want them to go after Afghanistan, me being a military spouse. Those 13 people died. And what did the Taliban get? They got $64 billion worth of our equipment. It's a slap in the face. It's a slap in the gut to what my husband does to protect this country. So I would like to see them do that. Number one, that should be number one, because those 13 troops that died, Biden doesn't care. He looked at his watch every single time, but that's number one for me. And of course the border. But if we don't get some fresh blood, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think they're just going to keep covering up Biden and his crimes and Hillary Clinton and Obama. And it's the same old crap all over again. There's a bunch of veterans that are running, though. There's like maybe 100, I think, approximately 120, 130 veterans that are running that are Republican. Now, there's some veterans in the country that are running that are Democrat, which is, unbelievable. But you've got troops of all types. So I hope that those Republican veterans really win those seats. And I think if they do, if a majority of those good patriot Republicans win seats across the country, I really think that they are going to burn down the house regarding Afghanistan, because there's hell to pay with SecDef Austin and Milley. They need to be accountable for what they did. So, I mean, that is my hot button is military and what they've done to our troops. And they pushed the emergency youth authorization shots and they've kicked people out. And my husband was threatened with that. So, I mean, I'll get off on my soapbox right now, but I'm really hot about that. And I would hope that Americans would care about what happened to the troops and what's happening to our military right now. There's people getting kicked out because they're defending your ass. They're defending our freedoms. So I really want to see the military change up. I really want to see some fresh Republicans come in who are patriots and put a fire underneath the Biden administration, all of them, because they have a reckoning that's coming to them either in this life or the next.
Vince, your thoughts on things like impeachment, whether it's Biden or Mayorkas? There are a lot of Republicans talking about wanting to pursue one or both of those ideas. Politically, is that a good move? And secondly, sometimes it doesn't have to be political to be motivated. Maybe it's just the right thing to do.
Listen, if we spend the next 2 years trying to impeach Biden, if we spend the next 2 years talking about Hunter Biden, talking about Hillary Clinton, talking about all these things that have polarized our country for the last 2 to 4 years, if we do that, in 2 years, we're going to be back in the exact same spot. Any gains tonight will be gone. The people will no longer have trust in Republicans to get anything done. We'll have no chance at the White House in 2 years either if we go down that path. If we take Congress tonight, the Republicans must, and we have to stop. We have to stop dividing the Republican Party. Number one, they're all Republicans. If there's an R next to their name, they're
hold on. Let me stop you. Is Liz Cheney a Republican? Yeah. Is Adam Kinzinger a Republican?
Well, here's the thing. Liz Cheney's not going to be there any longer.
Right, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking. I get what you're talking about. I'm talking about, and I'm not talking about the fringes because that's where it's got to end. There's got to be less fringes of our party and more of a concentric belief that we're going to get things done for the American people. The job one of a Republican Congress better be to get their hands around inflation in the economy and get things back on track, because that's what the people want. If people are voting for Republicans tonight, that's what they're voting for. They're voting to get the economy back on track. They're going to vote to make things more affordable for their families. They want their values back in place, and that only comes if we stay together as Republicans and do that. And we can't be pushing off, which ones are don't pass this litmus test to be a Republican. We need to go back to the Reagan element of a big tent where everybody can fit under it. And yet we're not all going to agree. Well, guess what? Hopefully tonight we're going to have enough votes that if somebody needs to vote their conscience in our party, or if somebody has to vote for their district because their district is a little different looking than a district somewhere else in the country, we need to allow those people to be able to go do that, but still get the job done that a Republican Congress needs to get done. But number one, we need to focus on the needs of the voters in this country, or we lose everything we gain tonight, we lose in 2 years.
I'm working very diligently to bring Kimberly in here, and she's having some trouble connecting. Not sure what that is. I was trying to get John in here, and he was having some trouble getting connected. So I am still working this. I am going to make a big switch here. Let me see if I can do this on the fly. And I'm going to put you guys in charge of this without me while I work on these technical problems with these folks. I'm taking myself right off of the screen in about 30 seconds here. And you guys, that's not the one. And you guys can keep talking about whatever you want to talk about. But I've got to figure out this stuff. Where is the, hang on.
I remember the
trying
line,
to do all this.
When the cat's away, the mice will play, right?
Yeah, well, here you go.
Remember that? Well, one, I'll just say Walker's within one now in the latest flash I saw. So that Georgia Senate race, which is so critical to taking the Senate by the Republicans, is trending as we hoped, but certainly not how it was at the very beginning. So so some of these races that are just closing, we're likely going to experience the same thing we've seen for the last hour. The ones that already closed, they're going to be pretty disparate, and then they're going to narrow. So we're 1 minute away from the polls closing in a bunch of states.
Yep, I'm seeing 49-48 in Georgia right now. Is that what you have?
Yeah. One off.
Great.
Yep.
It's a good place to be right now.
I have a friend who's a.
That's probably 50%. Yep. Go ahead, Alex.
So I've got a friend who is actually a precinct committeeman, and she's on fire. She met Ben Carson. Anyway, she's doing a lot of great work. Poll watcher. She just texted me, and so Walker has won her precinct by a lot and has won a lot of Georgia. So she is juxtaposed to Augusta, which is generally Democrat, but Columbia County is all Republican. But Augusta's changing a bit. So that's good. A lot of Augusta is black. It's black and white. So maybe Herschel Walker, obviously being black, I think they love the dogs there too. So maybe they voted for him, but she's seeing a really good turnout for Walker. So she's really positive. And I hope that's the case.
Yeah, I think Walker's a great guy. I think if we were all judged on our worst day, we'd all have a problem, right? And
absolutely.
And certainly in his youth and his football days, he was not the Herschel Walker that he is today. And I think, well, as we said, he's, could he have benefited from a little more polish, a little more seasoning, maybe? But his name recognition, he was thought he'd be a great candidate, and he may very well pull this off anyway, because Warnock certainly is not a good candidate.
We bring in Kimberly into the conversation after a little bit of technical difficulty. We got her here. Kimberly, welcome. First of all, you are in New Hampshire, or at least that's where you live. I'm not sure if that's where you are now. But either way, what's going on in New Hampshire, and do we have a shot at picking up that Senate seat?
It's not looking good from what I'm seeing so far. You have to remember something else about New Hampshire as well. We allow out-of-state college students who temporarily go to college here to vote in our elections. That's the only reason Hassan won the last time, her first election. She should have never won the first one. So, and on top of that, Democrats spent millions of dollars pushing candidates that they thought would not be able to beat Hassan and all the other Democrats. So they intentionally tried to pick what they thought was the worst candidate by spending millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's a tactic they tried throughout the country. It's I don't know, Vince, if you're familiar with that. Is that how you win races, Vince? Do you pay for the opponents to get the worst candidates and win the primaries? Is that your strategy?
I wish it were that easy.
Baltic,
hey, JV.
Yeah.
JV.
Yeah.
JV, we've closed here in New York, so I'm going to bounce, and I'll
Okay.
be back when I have something from New York.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
No, that works.
All right, we'll see you guys in a little
That's
bit.
great. Good.
All right,
okay.
thanks, guys.
All right, cool. All right.
JV, Trish in the chat just said Walker's up now for the first time.
That's great. That is great news. Yeah, my friend said all of Georgia loves Walker. So it's just Atlanta. And she just texted me and he's doing really well. So fingers crossed. It says, did you guys get a report regarding Sarah Huckabee Sanders? She was elected governor. That's what I see.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh, forgive
that checked off.
Forgive the labels. They're wrong. Labels are wrong.
Oh, that's not my proper pronoun.
Well, at least one is. Sorry about that, Kimberly.
Gee, sorry about the shave.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm really trying to juggle a lot over here and not doing a very good job at it. Let me see if I can change this.
No, it's 2022.
Oops,
she can
it's
be
tiny.
Vince if she wants to, right?
All right, if somebody wants,
we're trying to keep up.
somebody wants to pull up those Arkansas numbers and give us, the update there, that'd be great.
Okay, we've got, there's one, Jim Jordan has won. Okay. That just says breaking, has won the race for the House. Thank you, Jesus, for the House seat in Ohio's 4th district. Also breaking, election wizard, Paul Gosar, Republican, wins re-election to U.S. House in Arizona's 9th congressional district. Okay, so that was Arizona. Election Wizard and Life News.
I need JR. You want to kind of lead this while I got to work on some connections here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find Arkansas here as well on one of my screens. I saw update that Kemp is up 9 now in for the governor and over Abrams in Georgia. So,
Arkansas, I have John Boozman up.
Okay.
John Boozman is at 52% right now, but there's only 12% in.
Here we go.
I see the same for Georgia, that Walker has captured the lead for U.S. Senate. 49.3 to Warnock's, is that right? 48.9.
Yeah, Boozman 57-40. So that looks, that's one Senate seat. Governor Huckabee's check mark.
James Lankford in Oklahoma as well.
Matt Couch on his 3rd rum runner.
Nice.
Yep, that's more Arkansas election news.
I'm curious about Pennsylvania. I'm in the same time zone as Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and so are you, GV. So what's going on with Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I'm pulling up the numbers here right now. They're very, very heavily Democrat at this point. I mean, you can see those numbers. Fetterman at about 70% or just under.
That doesn't make sense.
Oz at 28. So I have to assume these are just metropolitan areas like Philadelphia reporting, and there's not much else yet.
And
so
Pittsburgh,
yeah, so we'll have to see how this updates. I know that again, there's some of the polls in Pennsylvania are open till 10 in Luzerne County because they had paper ballot issues there. They ran out of ballots, so we'll see. We'll have to keep an eye on that as it updates.
North Carolina and Georgia better go red.
Agreed.
Well, we've been following North Carolina specifically, and that just changed here. Actually, let's bring up those new numbers. It looks as though Bud has taken the lead by a half a point or so. So at least that's trending in the right direction. So that's good. And what was the other one you said? Georgia, right? Let's take a look at what Georgia's doing here. It's getting closer.
Where are you looking at?
I'm at Fox News.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at Fox News' numbers. So Warnock's at 51, so that's tightening as well. And so, but so is the gubernatorial race there. Or I don't remember what it was last time, but that's still pretty tight. Even though we expect Kemp to win that pretty handily.
Yeah, it just narrowed. Yeah, from what I just said 5 minutes ago.
So, Kimberly, we've asked everyone else on the panel already this. I want to get your take on it, but how are we finding ourselves in a situation whereby the country is in a bigger mess than it's been since the 70s, since the Carter administration, really? And I know that comparison has been used with other presidents, but it's really true this time in so many ways. We are not only in an energy crisis, we're in a border crisis, we're in an inflation crisis, we're also in a foreign relations crisis, and on the precipice of a nuclear war, if you can believe that. Yet, these races are close. How are people not blowing out these races for Republicans and getting Democrats out of these offices because they've screwed up so much in such a short time?
Couple of reasons. Number one, the mainstream media, they're not reporting on all this stuff. Do you know that I have talked to Democrats who had no idea there was anything going on with the border? They had no idea fentanyl was coming across the border and that over 2 million people had crossed the border that were caught, that were, not the ones that weren't caught. They have no idea what's going on. Sure, people see high gas prices, but then you got the media and Democrats blaming it on Trump and Putin and whatever, and they believe it. I'm thoroughly disgusted with our electorate. I have been for years, but it's the media. And Democrats not only lie about their own agenda and policies and what they've done, but they lie about Republicans. I mean, they flat out, straight up will lie to your face. I've seen it in New Hampshire over and over again. And they've even been called out. Democrats have been called out. Well, what you said about your opponent, your Republican opponent, that wasn't really true, was it? Well, yeah, no, it wasn't. But they still keep going with it. They don't stop. They keep going. So when people are fed the same lies over and over, the old saying, repeat a lie often enough, people believe it. So, they really think that Democrats are going to try to do more, better. They're blaming it on, it's global inflation and Putin's fault and whatever. They're not blaming it on Democrats, a lot of people, because of the media.
Yeah, okay. I want to just update everybody. So we brought Vince in earlier, and he revealed to us he's following Air Supply, and I just took a look. Air Supply is on tour, and they're actually playing at the Pepsi Center tonight in Mexico City, Mexico. So that explains what Vince is doing. We know that he must be in Mexico City.
Undisclosed location. Now we know where he is. Yeah.
We know exactly where he is. He's not getting away with anything. Not getting away with anything.
Hey, I'm late on the uptake here. Can you tell me where this is live so I can tell people who are asking?
Yes, we are on the ALR YouTube channel, which stands for America's Lunchroom. ALR. We're on Getter. We're on Foxhole, and I'm not sure where else actually.
Are you on
That's
Rumble?
Good enough.
No, we're not on Rumble Live. No, we're not. We are also on Foxhole. Twitch. We're on Twitch, and are we on Twitter? Yeah, we're actually on the Independence Gang Twitter channel as well.
Wait, it's ALR stands for, I forget.
America's Lunchroom.
Thank you. I knew that.
I'm just waiting for John to connect. He's been having all sorts of trouble connecting. I'm not sure why, but I wanted to bring him in there. We're going to bring Trish back in just a couple minutes too. We'll let either JR or BA take a little bit of a break before we bring them back. But we're going to be.
I have dishes to do, right? And ironing, and have to put my apron on.
Oh man!
I've got my Travelocity feed up there, JV, too. So I'm working on my vacation for next
Oh yeah, I'm really surprised you're not already on vacation. I figured you'd swoop in to vote today, then head back out. But yeah,
I sent you I was in Pennsylvania.
I saw it. Yeah,
Pike County earlier today for work, and I was checking out the Fetterman and Oz signs and sent you one there.
yeah. I'll see if I can pull it up. I'm just trying to get John connected. I don't know what's going on here. Not sure what's happening with him.
This was interesting today, though. I did speak to a county clerk there, and they have a law that they had to live stream their counting. So she came in, and I was speaking
Where's
with
this?
her for about. It was in Pike County,
Oh,
Pennsylvania.
in Pennsylvania?
And she said they had to live stream the counting as part of the new Pennsylvania law for this election, which I hadn't heard that. So she gave us, 20 minutes, and then she had to go back to work. But
Oh wow.
She was new, and I hadn't met her before. So,
well, again, thanks.
I know it's a bit early.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are there any numbers for Texas at all? I know it's a bit early in Texas.
I haven't seen anything for Texas.
Anything with Texas.
I don't know if their polls are closed yet. New York just closed 12 minutes ago. The headline right now is Zeldin trails Kathy Hochul in New York gubernatorial race, but it's still a little bit early for that to be anything serious.
relevant, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Texas. There's a lot of Californians that have moved into Texas. There's a lot of illegal aliens that have gotten to Texas, and so I'm a little bit worried about that. And I guess we'll see what happens.
O'Rourke 46. Yeah, that's the 38% in. Abbott's up 6.
Well, hopefully he just keeps climbing. Warnock's back.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. I think we got John with us now. Boy, that was an ordeal, John. But welcome to the show.
Oh yeah, thanks.
So New York. John is also a New York resident, and New York polls have just closed. Before we get to any numbers, we don't have anything other than very preliminary numbers for New York. John, what was your sense down? You're in Long Island. What was your sense of the race as we entered the final hours here?
So my wife is a GOP observer, and she said that the turnout is just fantastic. She said, especially after there was never an empty room where she is, and we're in Huntington, which is pretty populous. So we're doing good down. We should be doing pretty good down here. So she said there was like a tsunami after people got out of work.
Wow. Vince was on with us just a little bit. He had to go because the numbers are coming in, but he had said that turnout in New York City is higher than anticipated, which is obviously causes some stress for Lee Zeldin supporters because that's the Achilles heel of any Republican in New York State. Are you hearing anything different or any more information about that?
No, I think the funniest thing I heard, though, is that Eric Adams' friend who runs, what's it called? Striving for a Better New York. Did you hear about this?
No.
His friend and president of this PAC just gave Zeldin $10,000 last night.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So 37% of New York has apparently turned out so far. So,
wow.
From what I hear.
Well, that would be a hell of a pickup. What's his name? Chuck Schumer has an opponent. Has anybody paid any attention to that? I don't think I've seen any ads or anything for that candidate. Couldn't even tell you the name.
Joe Pinion.
That's right.
He's been on news. He's been on Newsmax. He's probably one of the most well-spoken people I've heard during this whole episode of Fools. And I got to tell you, I know he probably has no chance, but Joe is just elucidated everything that we face in the state so clearly and could just literally blow Chuck away on the stage if that actually occurred, which it didn't. So
yeah, there was no debate. What a shame.
I had to make myself a drink to get through tonight.
Yeah, I don't blame you. There are others doing the same thing. That's effort well spent. I don't know where we want to look next. What's happening here? I'm not sure what numbers are coming in. Has anybody got anything they're watching that we need to talk about?
The New York numbers I saw was 75-25 at this early juncture in Zeldin and Hochul.
Yeah, but the other way around. Hochul at 75.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. What were you gonna say, John?
Well, actually, I was going to say something, but I'm going to respond to that and just say that that's absolutely horrible. I don't even think the alcohol can help me with that.
Yeah.
Try some Sailor Jerry.
I'll do whatever it takes at anyone's suggestion right now.
I actually have a happy update. So I was talking, I'm in South Carolina. So for U.S. House of Representatives District 1, it looks like Representative Nancy Mace percentage is now 52, with Democrat Annie Andrews, who loves CRT and transgender kids, is at 46. So the tables have turned, and I hope that Mace continues to. That is welcome news.
Yeah. I'm trying to update the numbers here as they do the count on Fox News's website for the House. 70 Republicans and 35 Democrats right now are the declared numbers. Let's see. I got to bring Trish back in here in a minute. Which you guys wanted to take a break and get a beverage or whatever? JR?
I have some, like I said, I have some dishes or ironing to do.
All right. Okay. Then we're gonna let Battle Axe go for a little bit, but don't go far because we're gonna be bringing you back in shortly. So thanks for jumping in here. And let me. Oh my God.
Chain doesn't go outside the house, so my ankle bracelet. I can't go outside the house until my dishes are done. So I won't go far.
John, you have no idea. Well, you probably do have an idea. I need 2 producers here to be doing this with me. There are just way too many buttons and windows and things going on here for me to do this smoothly by myself. But
you've been texting me most of the night, so I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I'm not even on the screen. See, I thought I was on the screen. I'm not even there.
You disappeared into the background.
They just called the Texas governor race for Abbott over O'Rourke.
Yep, I see that. Shocker.
Oh, shoot, that's not the one I wanted.
Wasn't that race a little too close? Wasn't that a little too close for comfort?
It's like 5% is the difference right now. So, but they must know
that's
where
too close.
Yeah, John.
Where the returns are.
John, we haven't gotten your opinion on this, and I'd like to hear it. One of the things we have talked about throughout the night is that given the state of the nation, given the state of the country, given the number of problems that are not just problems, but actually catastrophes at this point, whether it's the border, whether it's inflation, whether it's crime, energy crisis, and the fact that we've actually on the precipice of a nuclear war, which we haven't been since the early 60s. All of those things are in crisis or catastrophe territory, yet these races are close. Why aren't these races, putting Democrats out of office by numbers of like 70% to 30%? It seems like that, given what's happening, that's justified, but that's not what we're seeing.
Okay, so it's a good question. And I've looked at this and looked at this and looked at this, and I love reductionism. So I like the simplest answer. I like Occam's razor. And when I was listening to Tucker the other night, he said, basically, if the media stopped covering for the Democrat Party, there would be an overwhelming majority of people voting for Republicans and conservatives. And that's what it boils down to. There's no other answer for it. I keep this, I might have mentioned this to you, I keep a timeline that I started in 2020 of headlines, brief excerpts from the articles, and their address, their web address. There are so many of these articles that I cannot find on any legacy media site. They're just not covered. So there's censorship, there's complete omission. So people are just, I hate to say it, but they're just, they're dumb. They're trained to be dummies.
Yeah, that's kind of piggybacking on what Kimberly was saying earlier. The media is definitely running interference on all of this stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they should be lined up and, well, I can't say it, but,
Yeah. Kimberly, does democracy end as we know it if the Republicans take any of these majorities?
No, of course not. That is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard, and anyone who fell for that is an absolute moron. These are the people who said it would be the end of the world in Armageddon and we'd go into World War III if Trump was elected. We might actually get into World War III because of Biden, right? Nuclear Armageddon is like literally we're that close. And Biden is the one who mandated the vaccines, or else. Trump didn't do that. All the things that the Democrats said, oh my God, Trump's going to do these things, Biden did.
Yeah.
Trump didn't do them, Biden did. We were way, way freaking better off under Trump than we have been under Biden. And that's why I don't understand. And Democrats have had control over the past 2 years. They did nothing good, not one thing. And all these women, trying to be careful here and behave, all these women who were like, oh my God, my uterus, I can't have rights over my uterus. Look, what did Democrats do to codify Roe? RGB said years ago it was a bad decision. RGB, their hero, she said it was a bad decision. So Democrats have known for years that they needed to do something to codify Roe because eventually it would probably get tossed out by the Supreme Court. If, we finally got a good court that upheld the Constitution like they're supposed to. Democrats have done nothing. And I don't know why people don't see that. Well, we already talked about that. The media.
Yeah.
Hi, Trish.
I'm back.
Yes, you are. All right, let's look at the map here. I want to take a look at Ohio's numbers because they're changing. We've been kind of concerned about that just because the numbers were so there was such a gap between Ryan and Vance that is close to the just over a point. They've already declared DeWine the winner of the gubernatorial race there. I don't think we have anything to worry about, JR. What are you thinking now with these new numbers that are coming out of Ohio?
Yeah, I think if the more rural parts of the state are the precincts that haven't reported yet, then I think we're in really good shape. And if Matt, when he was on, was accurate about that the urban ones are the early ones, I don't think that's true in every state. Certainly Pennsylvania seems like it's not that way. Pennsylvania is the anomaly, though. So if it's true in Ohio, and then the more fringe parts of it, the rural parts, I think Vance is in pretty good shape there, and certainly that is one that had to go in the red column here if there's going to be a change in the Senate.
You guys are gonna have to just jump in there when I'm working on stuff over here because I can't. I only have two hands and one mouth, and they don't all work at the same time. I'm going to promise that.
Well, I'll jump in. I'm glad that I got to take a break because I got to watch Charlie Crist's concession speech. Woo-hoo!
Nice.
Woo-hoo! And I'm happy to report that 2 seats have been flipped in the U.S. House in Florida from blue to red. So. Go team!
Wow.
Just a question about Charlie Crist's concession speech. Did he record it last week? Because he could have.
Yeah. It was the whole thing was like 4 minutes long. Like they spent more time like waiting for him to come on the stage than they actually did. Like it was very short. He wished Governor DeSantis the best and nothing but the best for him and his family. And I'm like, that's funny because you were like, if you have hate in your heart and you support Governor DeSantis, then I don't want your vote.
That's
well,
right.
You didn't get it, Charlie. Hey, bye.
Well, that's one of these handful of political careers that ends tonight. That's one of them. We expect Stacey Abrams and Beto O'Rourke to be 2 more as this night unfolds.
Please end them. These are the people that they're like an STD. They keep coming back.
It's true.
Stacey Abrams actually. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to, joke that Chris will probably declare tomorrow as an independent so he can run again.
No, he's already run as an independent.
Oh, he is? Oh, I thought he was a Democrat.
All he has left, Green Party. That's all he has left. Green Party.
Oh, maybe that's
Wait, he could run as a libertarian. He's got 2 more parties left.
Yeah, Libertarian Party and Green Party. He could still run as. So
he's got another 20 years of political life. I mean, he's got many places to go.
I mean, he could also drown because there's a lot of water in Florida. I'm just saying.
Well,
I'm
everybody
Italian.
made fun of him. yesterday, was it yesterday? A couple days ago, he came out wearing, I literally looked like he was going to the yacht club. He had the navy blue blazer, the khakis, and the white loafers. And everybody was just in hysterics over his yacht club outfit. They're like, "Oh, look at Charlie's going to the yacht club."
Can he afford that?
He's been in politics for how many decades?
All of them.
Pretty sure he can.
Yeah, I want to go back to Georgia numbers. I don't know when the last time we mentioned them. I'm losing track of what we're talking about, what we're not. But it is getting closer. But there's still a 4-point gap here between Warnock and Walker. And we have to remember the thing about Georgia is that if a candidate doesn't win with over 50%, it goes into this runoff situation, which is where the Republicans fell short in 2021 with both Senate seats. Which was a real shame. But that was a result primarily, Kimberly, of Republicans in Georgia not believing the system was fair, so they didn't show up to vote.
That's one of the problems. And we're seeing problems again, election night tonight, all across the country in different areas, different things that are happening. There's no excuse. We are the United States of America. Third world countries run elections better than we do. I'm in North Carolina right now, and when I found out they don't even need voter ID to vote, I was like, what?
We don't need it in New York.
We don't need it in New York. We didn't used to need it in New Hampshire. Then they made it a law. But, if you live in if you go to vote in New Hampshire, you can just sign an affidavit, not even proving anything, and still get to vote. And then they, just mail something to whatever address you decided to use. It's ridiculous. We really need to shore up our elections across the country, so I can understand why some people might be skeptical, because it continues to happen. We didn't have, maybe you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but prior to the 2020 elections, we didn't have elections results that took days on end to count, did we?
No.
I was just thinking about
I don't recall that.
I don't recall it either.
Yeah, in fact,
I never recall that. Yeah.
In fact, many times I was a poll watcher, and back when we used little lever machines where you walk in, you flip the levers, you pull the handle, and it records the vote. And all they did was they opened the machine up, and the totals were all printed on a giant piece of paper. All the poll watchers could watch it, see the numbers, and those numbers were reported to the County Board of Elections, and that's how the numbers were tallied. And maybe there were problems that I wasn't aware of, but I never saw any problems. I never saw anything that made me think, oh, this is fishy. And as soon as they introduced computers into this whole idea, I immediately thought this opens it up for fraud, period.
You're talking about algorithms, basically algorithms running elections.
Yeah, precisely.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Who are the programmers? Who are the ones programming the computers?
That's right.
And we already don't trust those people.
Right. And the data trail from the actual vote to the place it's collected and counted, there's a lot of points in that chain where it can be corrupted, it can be hacked, it can be influenced, whatever. A lot of things. I want to play some audio from Kathy Hochul when she was campaigning with Joe Biden over the weekend.
We had to deal with the Supreme Court overturning my right as the governor of New York to protect citizens under a law that was there for 100 years to say you shouldn't be able to carry a gun in your classroom here at Sarah Lawrence or on a subway or in our churches or our synagogues. I had to deal with that.
I want to play it again because the line in this that gets me is she says the Supreme Court overturned her right as the governor.
We had to deal with the Supreme Court overturning my right as the governor of New York to protect citizens under a law that was there for 100 years to say you shouldn't be able to carry a gun in your classroom here at Sarah Lawrence or on a subway or in our churches or our synagogues. I had to deal with that.
I don't know, Trish, why that bothers me so much, but for her saying that her right as a governors don't have rights. Citizens have rights.
Yeah. And the fact that she wasn't elected the governor might be part of that problem. She honestly has no idea what's going on. And it's funny because why as a governor would you want people to be left unarmed and soft targets? Why would you want people to be in gun-free zones where we know that the vast majority of these mass shootings happen in gun-free zones. Why, as the governor, would you want your people to be soft targets in these zones? To me, that's kind of like her statement is completely counterintuitive to all logic, because your job as governor is to protect your constituents. Like, that's part of your job. Like, you're responsible for all, safety. You're responsible for all these other things. But first of all, I don't like her at all. She reminds me way too much of like a younger Nancy Pelosi. So she just really rubs me the wrong way. It's the Botox, just way too much Botox going on. So she's worse than Cuomo.
Oh, for sure.
I kind of wish.
Yeah.
I kind of wish Barbell Cuomo was back.
I'm going to bring up Ohio numbers. These have changed a little bit here. I don't know. I don't think we've talked about it in a while. Vance has taken the lead over Ryan, 51.7 to 48.3. So that is encouraging news. We talked. When we looked at it before, it was about 1.5 points the other direction. So things are turning around there. That's good to see. John, your thoughts on Hochul? I mean, she's a crazy lady. She really is a crazy lady.
I didn't know you were going to ask me about Hochul, or I would have brought the whole bottle down here. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on Hochul, and of course, Trish, I'm going to address you too. So this is not just a theory. This is from my studies of communism, which have been increasing as I've watched it take over the Democrat Party. So they want the populace in chaos, because when the populace is in chaos, the populace is fearful. And so then they can pass all these laws that they want, that they can essentially, get more power from. It's the alcohol, not me. So that's why. So, I think I mentioned this maybe last time we were on, but there was a massive, a significant beating in town, and there were 12 people who came up from another area, a disenfranchised area, and they beat up a restaurant manager after the kids were hassling people eating outside. So I thought to myself, the restaurant that we usually go to is only a few feet away. What would I do as a 64-year-old male in relatively good shape? How would I protect myself and especially my wife? And the answer is, I'm not gonna really down too many guys with pepper spray. So I can't protect my wife here. And unless Zeldin gets in, unless I get my pistol permit, I'm moving. They want us in fear because they want to continue passing draconian measures like they did time after time after time in New York during COVID and after COVID. It's to the point of insane. But that's what power does. It ruins the brain.
I want to add, so I drove from New Hampshire to North Carolina. And of course, that means I had to drive through crap hole states like New York and New Jersey, where I'm not allowed to protect myself. Of course, I can I can bring my firearms. I have to lock them up a certain way. That's federal law allows me, because I can carry here in North Carolina. I had to alter my trip because it was too long for me to do in one drive. One day. I suppose I could have, but I probably would have been insane. So I had to go and stay up in Pennsylvania because I can also carry there. So those two states and West Virginia, I passed through briefly. I have I can practice my fundamental human right to self-defense, but I can't in the ones in between, which are more dangerous probably than the ones where I can. This is what's wrong in this country. The Second Amendment wasn't, the Second Amendment was made so that we could protect ourselves. It wasn't just about, protecting ourselves from the government. It was also protecting ourselves. We have the right to bear arms. Our fundamental human right to self-defense is a human right. It's not something the government gives us. But there's so many states that we aren't allowed to do that in, especially in the hellhole place that I live in, New England, other than New Hampshire, Maine, and even Vermont. The socialist state of Vermont even allows that.
Isn't that something? Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up these New York numbers just because these are the latest here. Hopefully you can see them. They're kind of tiny down there on the bottom when you break it out. But Hochul's in the lead with 68.58%, and Zeldin has 31.42. 14.39% of the precincts have reported. I'm sure that's mostly metropolitan areas, so I don't think these numbers are going to stay that lopsided. And hopefully we all have our fingers crossed that Zeldin pulls this out, because New York needs it badly. New York needs it badly.
I've got my fingers and my legs crossed on this one.
JR,
Did you see all the
JR, you've been looking at the screens like crazy. You must be following something that we need to know about.
No, I've got Arkansas.
Please
still
don't tell
over
me
here.
you've got Pac-Man up on one of those, because then I'm going to have an issue.
Yeah, and I got my air supply shirt on underneath here too.
Oh, here we go.
I'm sorry, Kimberly. What were you going to say?
No, Walker's down 2 at the moment here, so that keeps oscillating, but he's closed it, consistently there.
Yeah, and so other races that we're obviously very, very interested in are West Coast races, Arizona, Nevada. Right, we're still, and those haven't. Those polls aren't closed yet. And I think Alaska. I don't think we'll get anything from Alaska. And not that that's a Republican seat being challenged by a real Republican to get a rhino out of there. So I'm hoping Chewbacca actually comes through on that particular race. But she's fighting an uphill battle despite her lead in the polls. Just the way the system is there, she's got a real battle ahead of her.
Yeah, they have that ranked voting system up in Alaska, which is so screwed up.
It's so weird.
Just so screwed up.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. Kimberly, you were going to say something. Did you still want to do that? Or?
I was just going to say that I don't know. I'm sure you guys saw like all the Hasidic Jews that are backing Zeldin that previously always voted Democrat. That was, they came out strongly. I mean, I was watching something and they had lines and lines of people waiting to vote, and they were voting for Zeldin supposedly. Who knows what the machines will say, but that's what they were saying.
Since you're talking, Kimberly, I've got to go to your state here again, New Hampshire. So Sununu has been declared the winner of the gubernatorial race, being reelected. However, Bolduc is still trailing by quite a margin. I will point out less than 20% of the precincts have reported, so this is still kind of early. But that's quite a gap. It's basically 58 to 39 there in the live free or die state. That's
And unfortunately, the results are getting posted later. I actually gathered results for the primaries, and a Democrat sponsored a bill, which some Republicans voted for, and was signed into law that anytime there's a write-in vote underneath a vote, it's like an overvote or something. So every single ballot has to be checked if there's anything written on it to see what the voter really intended. So it takes forever, and a lot of times they won't release the results. Sometimes some will. They'll release unofficial, and others won't. I was waiting for results, and I only went to 2 precincts till 11 o'clock at night, and usually those would have been done in an hour.
Yeah, it's messed. It's messed up.
It might be late there.
JR, I'm going to give you a break now. I'm going to get Jules back in, but don't go far and keep looking at the numbers for us. So when I bring you back, you can give us updates on the most important races here. John, you said something that I've been thinking for years. You said, that if you can't defend yourself, if you can't defend your wife, you're going to move.
You bet.
And self-defense is only one of the many issues that we face in New York State that makes us say the only way to solve this problem is to get the hell out of here. And that's a real tragedy to be put in that position. But when you're in a state that's one-party rule, and it has been for so long, and it's being governed by the radicals. I mean, one of the things they just passed in New York State is by, I think it's 2030, you can't put a fossil fuel burning heating system in your house.
Correct.
And you're in Long Island. It's cold enough there. You know what it's like where I am, John. You went to school up here.
I lived there for 13 years.
20 below nights are not uncommon during the winter. And I'm sorry, a heat pump isn't going to do the trick. So, I mean, this is what we're faced with in New York. I know Californians are kind of faced with the same thing.
So, whoever gets into office after Hochul, whether it's this time or next time, they're going to have to do away with that, because we're all not going to be driving electric cars in her time frame in New York. We're not all going to be able to have the energy system she wants us to. I mean, she's become an empress, and frankly, if the Napoleon complex, I mean, everybody's familiar with that. I mean, this is what Hochul suffers from. She has a Napoleonic complex, and she's got a cluster B personality disorder. I mean, she's literally out of her mind. And I mean, this is my profession. I listen to her, I watch her, and it's so. And I bring this up to a number of people because I get to speak to a lot of people professionally and personally. And my point is, hey, listen, let's take politics out of it. Is it okay if your husband or your wife gets her head bashed in, like this poor guy did in downtown Huntington? And is it okay that they can't protect themselves, but Kathy Hochul walks around with a contingent of state troopers? Is that okay with you? I don't care about your politics, but is that okay with you? And, I either get a resounding yes or I get a series of stammers, which basically tells me the person doesn't know how to reorganize new information into their head. So, I don't want to move out of New York. I love upstate New York. It's where I wanted to retire. But I'm not retiring in a state that does not allow me to take care of myself the way the Constitution and the people who died for this country said that I can. It's that simple. Now, I'll still do it, and I'd rather save my wife's life and go to jail for 20 years for carrying illegally. I'll still do it, but gosh, I'd really rather be legal about it.
Yeah, and you should, and the Constitution really tells us we can. And this idea that New York State is restricting those rights is just wrong.
It's horrendous.
Go ahead.
Guys, that's why I left Massachusetts. I was born and raised in Massachusetts, loved it, lived in a great area by the beach. I fled because I wanted to be able to protect myself, and it was you really couldn't in Massachusetts. Same thing.
Kimberly, I have to just sort of bring this up that with the emergency session that they held in, I believe, July, right after the SCOTUS decision, you now, as of September, you need a license to purchase a semi-automatic rifle. What? So the carbine that I bought in 2021, I wouldn't be able to buy now. I'd need a license. What? What's next? Shotguns? Yeah. And then what's after that? Are you going to take away my right to have a frying pan? Because that's what I'm going to carry. the little ones.
Right.
I'll carry a little frying pan. That'll hurt.
And the thing that makes Trish, the thing that makes this argument so poignant at this point is that the people who are committing crimes with guns are going free. The ones that are actually taking a weapon, whether they have that weapon legally or not, doesn't even matter, and using that weapon in a crime, they're going free. Why not focus on those crimes and focus on those people that are using these guns illegally and solve that problem before you start taking that away from everyone? I mean, I know the answer, and I'm asking rhetorically, but I mean, that's what's happening.
Yeah. No, and I've always said, if Democrats really did want to be tough on gun crime, if they really were, committed to getting rid of gun crime, then why aren't they committed to making sure that anyone who commits a crime with a gun is punished to the fullest extent, if not fuller? Like, why aren't they passing laws that say if you commit a mass murder, then you will be put to death, period. End of sentence. Like that, there is no, you're going to get your jury, and when they find you guilty, you're going to express lane to the electric chair. I mean, I'm all for public square hangings. I'm forget the electric chair. That's too nice. Forget, lethal injection. That's too nice. I want to go back to public hangings. I want everyone to see that if you commit a heinous crime with a weapon, like a gun, then this is what's going to happen to you. Period. End of sentence. That would tell me that you want to be hard on crime. This is not about crime. This is about control. I mean, John, you were totally spot on before. The Democrats want chaos, and you get chaos when the law-abiding citizens, who will continue to be law-abiding citizens, will obey those stupid gun laws. No matter what gun law they pass, we will do the right thing. But I have to share a small story real quick. I met Andrew Pollock at a book signing that he was doing. His daughter Meadow died at Parkland, and he kind of got in trouble with his handlers because he and I started having a conversation, and his handlers were trying to push me along, and he was like, no, we're having a conversation. And I work at a state institution where I am not allowed to carry my firearm with me. Even though I have my conceal and carry license in the state of Florida, I am fully licensed to carry conceal in my state. I'm not allowed. And I just made he told me, he's like, listen, he's like, if one person that day who had been carrying who wasn't supposed to, my daughter might still be alive. And I would have donated tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees to help get them out of jail, to get them, because they didn't deserve to be there. He said, so you know what? Carry anyway.
Wow.
So I'm not saying I commit a felony every time I go to work. I'm not saying that.
It's not a felony. It's just their rules, Trish. Trish, it's not a felony. It's just their rules. Just their rules. You're not breaking the law.
Unfortunately, not where I am. Remember, I'm in blue hell in Florida. Remember, I'm not in one of those lovely red areas. We have some very so we have some very interesting rules and laws in my county. That is a blue county.
I want to welcome Battle Axe back to the program. During the break, admit.
So tired. I'm so hot.
Other than baking some cookies, like you should be, Battle Axe, did you see
like a good woman.
Did you see anything else in any reporting that you might want to share with us that we need to know about?
So my friend is a precinct committeeman in Columbia County in Georgia. She said Walker is up and Kemp won. Is that correct? I believe I saw Kemp.
Okay, so I actually have those numbers here. They haven't declared for Kemp in this. This is again the Fox News numbers, and Walker is about a point ahead now. Still under 50%, but about a point ahead. Still just under 65% of precincts reporting at this point.
They're projecting. I'm seeing news.
They're projecting a win. Yes, correct. Yeah, that is correct. So that is pretty good. That's pretty good news.
Projecting a win for Kemp? Is that what you're saying, or not Walker?
Yes, for Kemp. Okay. Yeah, for Kemp. And I think they might be surprisingly happy, please, that Walker would win. That would be really fantastic. But I have a friend who had been texting me about Walker because she's getting some other reports that projected to win. We hope. So
as has Abbott in Texas. Abbott in Texas has been projected. He's got a 10-point lead right now. So we need to put that. So we need to put that beta male right back where he started.
Talking about
O'Rourke. He's another one that I'll be happy when I never hear from him again. That furry needs to go away.
Yeah, I think this is John. This has got to be Beto O'Rourke's swan song, don't you think? This has got to be the last time.
God, who the hell knows? Like maybe Biden will make him like the next, White House comms director. God knows what could happen.
Did you see him dancing on TikTok? Did anybody see the video of him dancing?
Oh my God!
Don't do that again. That was horrible.
The cringe. There were so many of those videos. The cringe I was dying of cringe. Like every other, I was like, oh my God! And people were posting them all over Twitter. I'm like, please stop. I'm dying of cringe. Please stop. I don't want to see any more Democrats pretending they have rhythm and pretending they're 20 years old and pretending that they can dance. Like it's just, maybe it's just me, but I kind of want you didn't see Ron DeSantis making freaking TikToks. Like I don't want the governor of my state to be acting
He's not
like
a child.
Yeah.
He's not a child. That's why Ron DeSantis is an alpha man, a Navy alpha man. Exactly. He's not acting like a fool.
And I have to say, when he first got elected, I didn't like him. He gave me used car salesman vibes just a little bit. So I was like, I can't vote for Gillum. Like I just couldn't. So I had to vote for him. I am so glad that I voted for him. Can I just tell you, he has far exceeded my expectations. So I will continue to vote for him no matter what he runs for. Local dog catcher, I don't care. Like I'm voting for him.
Vic in our YouTube chat said we need to check out the North Carolina numbers. So I've pulled them up.
Ted Budd is up.
Yeah, Ted Budd is up by looks like 3.5 points. So that's good news. That's good news. That's not one we need to lose there. So that is definitely good news. Thanks for the heads up on that, Vic. I had something else. Oh, I want to play this clip from Biden. Every once in a while we need to have a little bit of entertainment and humor. See if anybody can catch why I think this is funny. This is Biden again at Sarah Lawrence College stumping for Hochul.
2 days to make sure the rest of New York knows.
It's hard to catch but I'm going to play it again. 2
days to make sure the rest of New York knows.
He says UNork, not New York.
Knows.
He says
Nork knows. So when you guys secede from New York City, that's what you're going to be called. Nork knows. Okay, that's your new state.
He's just a walking mess. He's a
nightmare.
Walking mess. And of course, there was this moment as well.
No matter what their cost, 2, 10, 12, 15. Oops, stepping on a.
No.
That's black. Anyway.
That's black. I hope that black voted. I hope that black voted for him.
Or he ain't
not,
black.
or he ain't black.
Or it ain't black.
He ain't black.
Oh man, what a disaster.
Oh my God.
And then I'll play one more since we're having fun with this. And these are all from the same damn speech. Same damn speech.
I showed up in February after I got elected in January.
He didn't get elected in January.
But he got elected in November.
He was elected in November. He was.
Well, technically, he didn't get elected in November.
Well, that's true too. That's true too.
That's true. That is
good point.
Elected.
Good point. And then all right, since we're doing it, I've got one more cut here. Now I went through, and if you notice, and John, you can probably speak about this, for one, because of your radio background, but also because of your current profession. When people don't know how to speak or don't know what to say, they use a lot of filler words. It's something we're trained out of doing in radio, crutch phrases, whatever you want to call them. Joe Biden has many filler words that he uses, crutch phrases, and I just took a set. I went through this 20-minute speech and pulled out a bunch of his filler words and just put them together here in a collection. Listen to this. This is pretty funny.
And by the way, no, I mean it. I mean it. And folks, look. I'm not joking. By the way, and guess what? Look, and folks, but guess what? Well, guess what, guys? Guess what? And guess what? Look. And by the way, folks, well, guess what? Folks, not a joke. And folks, look. And by the way, look. And guess what? And look, here's the bottom line. Folks, look, folks, this is crazy. Look, folks, no, I'm serious. Think about it. And folks, no, I mean, all kidding aside, that's not hyperbole. And here's, I'm being deadly earnest. Not a joke. This is not hyperbole. It's not a joke. And look, I'm serious. Look, I'm being deadly earnest now. I give my word. This is
Tell me now.
Now, the other thing you may have noticed is that video progresses. Again, it's about a 20-minute speech. That is 48 seconds of filler noise. But if you see him in the beginning of that clip and then at the end, because again it's compressed, you see how much fatigue sets in the course of his 20-minute speech. How he can't focus. How his eyes look vacant all of a sudden. It really illustrates it there when you put it all together. But John, I mean, what does it tell you when somebody uses crutch phrases and filler words to such an extent like that?
So, am I banned from using the 7 FCC banned
Not
words
here, you're not.
Okay. Well, what it tells me is that he's completely exactly. What it tells me is that he's completely full of shit. If you have to use, what did you say, Jim? JV, 48?
It's 48 seconds there.
48 seconds of filler. My God. Either the medication half-life is decreasing rapidly, or, the teleprompter's not working. And I've noticed, you ever see, he does this with his nose?
Yeah.
You ever know that?
He's
got a thing
like
with
this.
his nose.
Yep.
I think that's kind of like when somebody raises their eyebrows and when they're lying or something like that. It's like a little lying tick. And I really mean it. Really. I'm not joking, folks.
Yeah.
I'm deadly earnest. I've never even heard that phrase before. Like, really? Deadly earnest about what? Gaffes?
Yeah. It's also interesting to watch because you can tell that he's lost his place in the teleprompter. So he throws a few of those words out to try to find himself there. And I'm sure whoever's running it for him, puts a big highlight as to where he's supposed to be.
Come on, man.
Yeah. The guy's a mess. Thank you to Friendly Gator for A, joining us, and B, for the gift in the Foxhole chat. Thanks so much for doing that. Friendly Gator says, let me see. Proud native Floridian tonight. Pinellas County is red. Lunas going to Congress. I don't know who those people are. I don't know who Lunas is. Should I know that?
Wow.
Lunas or Lunas?
Luna.
Oh, Luna?
Oh, Luna's going to Luna. It should be okay. I get it now. Luna's
She's
going
a Hispanic
to,
representative. Yes. Republican.
Great. Good.
Is that who he means?
yeah, Friendly Gator.
Pinellas County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the one. Oh, I was thinking of the one that's running against Spanberger in Virginia. Do we know what happened to that race? Abigail Spanberger? We should look.
I've never even heard that name.
Seriously?
Wow. Spamberger. The Hawaiians must love her. They love spam in Hawaii. I would think that she's running there.
So Pinellas County is traditionally blue.
Wow.
We only go there to eat, and then we go back up to Pasco County, which is where our other place is. But to hear that it's even partially flipping red is fantastic news. So
can I ask a quick question to the Floridians? Do you think it's because so many Northerners, Yankees, have moved down or flocked to Florida? Do you think that's occurring? That they're changing it red, making it redder?
I think
that's your.
Yeah, I know Trish looks like she might be frozen. Did we lose Trish?
I think she's frozen.
She's been in the same position for a very, very long time.
She's catatonic.
let me say this, and I can't remember who was on here tonight that actually said this too, but I've said from the very beginning, a lot of people were really worried about this migration of New Yorkers into Florida, of Californians into Texas, and that might be a little bit different. But I said the first ones to leave New York are going to be the Republicans. The first, if there's any group that's leaving, it's going to be the more conservative New Yorkers that are going to Florida, which should help Florida as far as being a red state goes. I don't know if the same is true as California, but I would have to say that the first ones that are going to want to leave are the ones that feel like they can't stand the politics anymore. So I think that's kind of maybe part of what we're seeing in Florida anyway.
I hope so. I was wondering that because I'm the one who said about California's leaving and going to, they're like herpes. They just keep spreading. They're like, everywhere we move, like, why is it the same thing? I'm like, because you're voting for the same people. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
They ruin, they just spread and there's no ointment. It's just kind of metastasizes and then one touches another. Anyway, I'm getting a little graphic, but it's a long night, right? It's Topless Tuesday. But anyway,
Topless Tuesday. So. I just want to point out that Abigail Spanberger is currently trailing I don't know how to pronounce her first name. I think it's Yesli, but it's Yesli Vega, 51-49. So it's a tight race, but right now the Republican Yesli Vega, a Hispanic American, is leading Abigail Spanberger right now in that race. That's good news. That was considered to be one of the bellwether races too. All right, I don't know what happened to Trish.
Trish is stuck. She's stuck.
I know they've got tropical. They got tropical storms.
Oh, hurricane. Yeah, another one.
I don't have much, but I could do another.
That dang climate change. It's going to kill all of us.
Yeah. No, she just said she got kicked out. She's trying to log in. It has the wrong password. Okay. One of the things I know about this, and Kimberly, I think you were experiencing it too. If you try to relog in or stuff with the same browser, it'll cause a problem. How did you fix it when you did it?
So what I did was I copied and pasted the link you sent into a brand new, I opened up a brand new tab. For some reason, what it was doing was opening up my cache tab, I think, from the last time I was on the show. So that was the issue. But when I put it in a brand new one, it was fine.
Yeah, I think that somehow in the cache or the cookies or whatever, somehow it doesn't allow you to redo it. Okay. I'm going to, somebody take it, talk. I got to get Vince connected here. He's got some updates on New York races. I want to bring him in.
I have just a little update. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Please. No, please. No, go ahead. Please.
You're too kind.
I'm virtuous.
Oh, we love it. The South chivalry is not dead. Thank you, Jesus. So South Carolina, how many counties? Counties reporting 24 out of 46, but they did call it for McMaster, yet it's really not over yet. So I was mistaken, but it looks like hopefully McMaster will take it. Now, the race that I'm really concerned about is Nancy Mace and Annie Andrews. Again, Annie Andrews being the Dem who's for trans, CRT. Let's kill the kids like at 10 years old. They're a burden to us. But so Nancy Mace is 52% and Annie Andrews is at 47%. So that has flipped a bit because earlier Annie Andrews was ahead. And she's all about abortion. She's really upset that you can't kill your baby. And so every time I'm on YouTube, she has these commercials, and she's dressed up in a 1950s outfit in the kitchen And this woman's a doctor, by the way. In the kitchen, she's like, Nancy Mace wants to take us back to the 50s, like with the coat hangers. I'm like, well, okay, go to the back alley. Or how about this? How about this? Just don't open your legs and then you won't become pregnant. Like, don't have sex. Close your legs and then there's your responsibility. But I digress. So anyway, hopefully, I think Annie Andrews is trailing a bit, and Nancy Mace is leading. Which Nancy Mace is a rhino, but it's better, I think, to have her than the crazy socialist. And Tim Scott is well in the lead. That's our senator of Crystal Matthews, who has 38% right now, and it's pretty much red all across South Carolina, as far as the major seats with Secretary of State, State Treasurer, Attorney General. So, I mean, it's pretty red here in South Carolina, and that's what it continues to show. And a friend of mine who's working in Georgia on the polls, she just sent me something that's new. Walker is up, and let's see, latest results, 70% of the votes in Georgia. Herschel Walker has 1.5 million, and Warnock is 1.4. So we'll keep hoping that Walker keeps continuing to climb in the polls.
Yeah, he's just basically a point ahead at this juncture. Vince is joining us. Vince, you hearing anything that we might not know about New York?
Well, from the statewide, right now, there's numbers are like trickling in pretty slow, but New York City's doing what New York City does. It does look like the numbers are underperforming 2018, which could be a good sign. However, right now, it looks like Democrat Kathy Hochul is holding her own out in Western New York, which is her hometown. That's where she's from. She's an upstater, so she's holding her own out in Western New York, which doesn't look good. Shocker of the night, I'd take a look at New York 17, where it looks like Michael Lawler, who's a state assembly.
Oh, and we lost Vince right then. But he's talking about the race against Sean Patrick Maloney, who is the leader of the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee, the DCCC. And looks like he's going to lose. I think that's what Vince, I was hoping he was going to be able to come back here. But yeah.
I have an update from my wife. She's a poll watcher here in Huntington. You want me to just kind of read that?
Yeah, then we'll go back to Vince because he's back with us, but go ahead.
Oh, hi, Vince. Hochul voters here in our district outnumbered Zeldin very close, too close to call. Freaking libtards will destroy this state. Hold on, but I think she'll win because the liberals here in New York State don't want to move, and all the patriots have already gone to Florida, North Carolina, and South Carolina. That's my wife's analysis. Vince, it's you.
I like her telling it like it is. I like that. So you were talking about what, Sean Patrick Maloney's race?
Yeah, I think Sean Patrick Maloney's in a lot of trouble, and he's the head of, obviously, the Democratic Campaign Committee. I've actually heard at one point tonight earlier that he hopped a plane back to D.C., which it is customary for the head of the D trip to be there. But if he's in a hotly contested race back home, it's also kind of odd that he would take off. So it sounds to us like he's getting out of Dodge before the shit hits the fan here in New York for him. So
wow,
that could be the one seat that could be pretty good for us. And I guess they're also looking at the.
Oh, we lost Vince again. Oh. Trish just cut Vince off. You just cut Vince off. I said, hang on. I said, hang on.
That was air supply.
I'm sorry.
Oh, there. Now Vince is back. Okay.
Oh, man.
What's going on here?
Trish cut you off, Vince. Sorry about that. Oh, now you're frozen. Oh, man, this is
hilarious.
I blame it on air supply.
Yeah.
He's all out of love. Right?
Yeah, he's all out of love.
Yeah. Right.
Which New York district was that? I'm trying to pull up those numbers. Does anybody catch which district is for Sean Patrick Maloney? I guess I can go one by one.
Hang on, it's 17.
It's New York 17?
Yeah.
Oh, there they are. Okay.
Oh, he is losing so far, what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
But it's only 26%. in.
So it's 53 to 46 or so. Yeah, in 26. So Vince, you think this holds? You think Sean Patrick Maloney is done?
I think it certainly looks that way. I just don't. The only thing I don't know is where the numbers are coming from right now, and that's the key. If I knew that, I'd give you a better indication. But it looks like Sean Patrick's not doing well in the home county of his opponent, so that could be that's game set match if that's the case.
All right. Oh man, so I'm not going back to John's wife's report. I'm not particularly encouraged by what she had to say, John. But you can analyze those words a little better than we can.
So it's really unfortunate, and I see this this correlation between wealth and stupidity. So we live in a very wealthy area. And I just can't believe how many people are still beguiled by Democrat policies. I know the reason why. I'm a shrink, but I still I still need to shake my head and have an occasional gin and tonic or two. It's just outstanding. The old saying about a conservative is a liberal who got punched in the face or mugged. These people are so wealthy that the inflation's not hitting them, the crime isn't hitting them yet, the price of anything is not hitting them, and they're too old to care about abortion, and it's just astonishing that they're still voting this way after 2 years. To me, it says that they don't care about the rest of New York, they don't care about upstate, they don't care about other people's rights. So. Yeah, we're swimming in a sea of libtards here. Yeah,
I'm going to jump. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say Michigan is the other thing other race that's going to be interesting for governor, and it's actually the results right now are Whitmer is 51% and Tudor Dixon is 47%.
Wow.
Not even 18% in yet, but
yeah.
That one's going to be an interesting one to watch.
I really liked Tudor Dixon. I thought she's a great candidate, and I hope she wins. And if she doesn't, I hope she still finds a role somewhere. We can run for different office. I think she's a great candidate. I want to pull up Georgia again because that's tightened now, going the other way. Now Walker only has looks like a 15 1/100ths of a percent lead. So that's kind of gone the other way. We don't want to see that. Don't want to see that.
There might be a runoff then. Is that correct, Vince? Would that be a runoff?
I don't believe so.
Close?
No.
Okay.
No, not in a general. It'll go to absentees. It'll go to pay. If it's close enough, it goes to a recount, possibly. I don't know. I'm not up on all of Georgia's rules.
No, Georgia does have a runoff if neither of the candidates ends up with 50% or more. They have to have 50%
in
plus
the general,
one.
Though?
Yeah,
they have one in the general.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but there's only two candidates, right? So the idea is that somebody would almost have to get 50 plus one at this point. That's the only thing. I don't know if they can.
There's three candidates. There's the libertarian. There's the libertarian.
How much is it polling?
What? How much is libertarian polling?
Is everything? Yeah,
I don't even see.
Actually polling.
I don't even see the name on here.
Nobody's reporting it, so that's why I said it's probably not. It's got to be inconsequential.
He's got 1.92, almost 2%, 60,000 votes. But
that's
either
right.
way,
Chase Oliver.
Yeah.
Chase Oliver 1.9. That's right. He just why do they do that?
Well, he's probably put up to it by the Democrats to pull votes away.
Probably. Right, he's going to get free depends. I don't know.
We haven't talked much about Pennsylvania. Let's go back here for a minute and take a look at what's happening. I'm going to bring JR back here in a few minutes too, and Trish as well. But right now, Fetterman with 41% of the precincts reporting has a 5-point lead, a little over 5 points. Which man, this is a tough one to lose to that candidate. How the hell? Someone jump in here. How the hell does a candidate like Fetterman, with health issues and radical positions, win in a state like Pennsylvania? I know Pennsylvania's purple, but man, I just don't understand.
Philadelphia is really messed up. The city of brotherly love. It's a horrible city. It's crime ridden.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Well, we're all stunned silent here as this is early in this race, though. So we'll hopefully the numbers for Oz come in. You know, Oz was one of these Republican candidates that a lot of Republicans didn't want to see in the race, hoping that a different candidate had won that primary. But I think he's been a pretty strong candidate in general. He's run as a center right guy, not an extreme right guy. And he's articulate. He's well spoken. I think he's run a good, clean race. Yet it's odd to me that he hasn't gotten more traction. I mean, Kimberly, what's it about Oz that doesn't warrant more support from Pennsylvanians?
I don't like him. I mean, I just
fair enough.
So here's the thing. All these races that we talked about earlier should not be close.
Yeah.
These are the races that Democrats spent millions of dollars in to get what they considered the worst candidate who their candidate could be.
Yeah.
Just like they did with Trump in 2016. Trump wasn't supposed to win. He was supposed to lose to Hillary. They thought he would be the only one that could lose to her because they thought he was so horrible. So that's what they did with these races. And in some cases, it's probably going to work. I mean, think about it. If you had a stronger candidate than Oz, who more Republicans got behind, who more independents didn't think was just some kind of doctor, whatever, playing a doctor on TV, who didn't, wasn't from New Jersey and just moved to Pennsylvania yesterday. If they had a more solid candidate, I don't think these numbers would be the same. And that goes for a lot of races, including New Hampshire, including Georgia. These races should not be close. The Democrats are all extreme left-wingers. They're not moderate. They're not centrist. They're all the extreme of the party, yet these races are close. Even after what we've been dealing with for the past 2 years. They support everything that lunatic in the White House has pushed.
So has anyone heard about the lawsuit that Fetterman filed?
Just that he was challenging the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling that absentee ballots without dates or proper signatures shouldn't be counted. It doesn't seem to be, right. To me, that doesn't seem to be anything that he's going to be successful in challenging because it's clearly written in Pennsylvania law.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm just wondering, where did he find time in the last 24 hours to write 17 pages? It's 17 pages long. I mean, really, you had to resort to this?
Yeah.
So I don't know. They're actually saying that it could be until next week before Pennsylvania is completely counted. And, we want every vote to count, which is just, their bullshit virtue signaling. And I completely agree. This guy is literally out of his gourd. If I was working in a hospital instead of private practice, I would have him institutionalized in Creedmoor, where there's bars, on the window, not bars, drink. Just horrible, absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Do we have any sense of when, Arizona polls close? Does anybody know? Anybody looked at that?
Vince?
Let's jump over while we're kind of trying to figure that out. Let's jump over to Ohio again and take a look here.
I thought they closed at 9 their time.
9?
I believe so.
Okay.
So that's midnight here.
Yeah, take a peek at Ohio. We're not going to be on until midnight, I promise you that. Vance now leading almost 54 to 46. That's good. Again, DeWine has already been declared the winner in that particular race for governor in Ohio. Kimberly, I'm anxious to hear what you think about Vance. He was another one of those candidates that a lot of Republicans weren't particularly interested in. And he was one of those considered a kind of a MAGA radical that the Democrats, I think, supported in the beginning and might be sorry they did.
Yeah, he's another one. Same thing. By the way, the Arizona polls are closed, according to Fox News. So they must have closed at 7.
It's 9 o'clock our time on the East, is what it is, right?
That's when they
So
close?
they close. They're done, and they're coming in. I think that's gonna hold them. By the way, in the Senate,
That's going to what?
it's the Democrats. I believe are going to hold that in the Senate
In Arizona?
in Arizona.
Kelly?
Yeah.
Kelly's.
Yeah.
You think Kelly's going to win that? Is that what you're saying?
That's what it looks like right now. They're looking. There's almost. They're not projecting it, but it looks like that he's going to be able to hold on there.
Oh, and I just.
So yeah, we'll see.
Honestly, there's going to be when it comes down to the Senate now, you're down to three races to watch. That's Pennsylvania, Nevada, Georgia, and right now it's 49-48. The Republicans have the edge on there, but those three toss-ups are gonna determine the balance of the Senate.
Wow.
So you could essentially, from where things are leading right now, you could have a 50-50 Senate.
Well, that's what we have now, and that doesn't work. So I don't want that.
So it doesn't change. Right. That's looks like what it could end up.
Again, we're all sitting here saying, how could Americans be so stupid? Really is what we're saying here.
Control of the media. That's what it boils down to.
100%. The media really will be to blame for the downfall of this country. They 100% are.
He asked me for the apparently the screen locked out.
Sorry, guys. Like I said, I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. Oh, their BA's back. I was trying to get BA reconnected. BA, you don't move much when you are connected, so I can never tell if you're frozen or you're just holding still. Yeah, now you know.
I'm kidding.
She blinks though.
No, she's just screwing with
Dang it.
it.
I have to work on that. Okay, I got to work on that blinking. Yeah.
All right. Vince, what's your time constraint here? I'm gonna get JR back in a minute here. I'm one of these windows, but I don't know what your time situation is.
Yeah, no, it's good. I can bounce again and come back when I've got more here in New York.
Okay, that's
We
perfect.
expect more to come in the next 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so I'm going to get JR back, and I'm going to bring Trish back in a little bit too. I don't know. I see some of these races, and I just cannot figure out what the hell's going on in the heads of Americans. There's nothing about what's happening in our nation right now that should make anybody comfortable.
This should be a landslide.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, in the last 2 days, gas jumped 13 cents in my town. 13 cents. And I know that after the election, they're not going to be pulling oil out of the strategic petroleum reserves.
Right.
So the price is just going to skyrocket at that point. Or either that, or Biden's going to completely turn around and reshape the energy structure of the country like Trump did, which is not going to happen. So
right,
it's I don't get it. I mean, again, people in my area are just not. They're not affected. It's just dumbfounding to me.
Can I just jump in? Exactly what you said when you were talking about. You're living in an affluent area, and I understand that. And I couldn't put 2 and 2 together. I kept coming up with 5. I'm like, how is this possible? Can't these people see? Well, the average American, like your regular middle class family, I was not working. I was volunteering several weeks ago, doing calls for, I believe it was American Center for Prosperity. I was doing some calls, and I was calling on behalf of Georgia, for Herschel Walker. And I had a script that I kind of stuck to, sort of. And I was trying to find out where voters were lying. And so I was promoting Herschel Walker as opposed to Warnock. And so I spoke to this one. I didn't talk to a lot of people because a lot of people, it was home phone numbers and voicemails. But I specifically remember this one woman in Georgia. She sounded like she just came from New York, just got off the Amtrak train. No, she hadn't. She was Jewish. She was in her 60s. And I said, what do you think about Herschel Walker? And she's like, oh, honey, I can't even believe you're even saying about Herschel Walker. I'm getting ready for the Shabbats, or I don't know what it was. It was a Jewish holiday. I wasn't sure what it was. But I said, well, what do you think about gas? And I said, I'm a military spouse. What do you think about gas prices and food prices? Oh, honey, that really doesn't affect us. I said, inflation doesn't affect you? Not at all. And so then I heard what you said. I'm like, this is it. It's the wealthy, and we have a gap of the poor and the wealthy. I mean, just like in Russia, it's going to happen. And so this woman, all she cared about was if you can kill your baby. She did not say anything about the economy. She didn't care about the illegals coming across. She didn't care about gas prices. It doesn't affect me. I've got to get ready for, sundown, and I have to make my bread. I don't remember exactly what she said as far as that was concerned. I don't know a lot about Jewish holidays, but that really struck me when she said it didn't concern her. She had enough money. It didn't concern her. Higher prices, insurance, gas, milk. She had no qualms about it. And I think that's what it is. If you have so much money, like people do in Bel Air, Pelosi has, this Jewish woman that I spoke to, it doesn't concern them. They don't give a damn. They don't care that illegals are coming across the border and taking their jobs because they don't have those jobs. They are living in gated communities. They're not affected, so they don't give a damn. And she also said this, that was her main concern. Well, women won't have their rights. I said, rights to do what? To kill their babies? She's like, well, I can't have kids anymore, but you should be able to. And I just said it. But that's the crux of it. You live in a certain tax bracket, you have a ton of money, it doesn't affect you. They don't give a damn. And that's why she hung up on me, basically. That's why she was going to vote for Warnock, just because of that, because women couldn't kill their baby. She could care less. And I think I'm starting to really see that, where the wealthy don't give a damn. It doesn't matter to them because they all have gated communities, like in Martha's.
And she's frozen.
That's
a great pose, though. That's a great pose.
The points were excellent.
I'm gonna get a screenshot of this pose. I like it. I like that pose. There we go. There we go.
So
she's spot on, though.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, what you were saying reminded me of a conversation that I had with an attorney who's a client of mine. And he said, last year, we were talking about, or maybe it was earlier this year, we were talking about the midterms. And he said, I said, is this something that you generally get involved in, that you're interested in? Because he brought it up. And he said, no, he goes, some of my colleagues are, some of my partners are. He said, but and this is almost verbatim as best as I can remember it. And this is a guy that makes over $1 million a year. Said, yeah, I really don't care who wins as long as I keep making money. I mean, that actually was verbatim.
Wow.
It's verbatim. Wow. And I've done forensic work for this law firm for child custody cases. And I'm thinking, to the point being made about, the woman who was above it all, you just don't care about other Americans. There's a third world country inside America, and it's called Appalachia.
Yeah.
You don't care about those people there. You don't care about the coal ash in their water. You don't care about what the single mom in Arkansas has to pay to get to work to earn $15 an hour. You're so insulated that you just don't care because it doesn't affect you. And you don't think about the fact that you live in a country of 335 million Americans that you really should, you should kind of care about. Where's your Jewish spirituality? Where's your Christian spirituality? It's in the toilet. It's just in name only. So, I could go on and on about this, but that was a great example that you brought up.
It's very selfish. Absolutely. That's it's a very selfish way of looking at that. And I'd have to say the same thing for people who are much older, even though they are conservative. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to be here. Well, what about the generation after you and after them? What about them? They don't give a damn. You're right. It's total selfishness.
So I got a opposite kind of story. My father-in-law, elderly father-in-law, lifelong Democrat, lives in Massachusetts. Told my husband that he voted. Well, that's what I call it. That's where I was born and raised. So I have some experience. My father-in-law voted Republican all down ballot this election. He's like, I see what's going on.
Wow.
And that's probably the first time. Although I don't know that they voted for Hillary Clinton because they were mortified that she was even running back in 2016, but I doubt they voted for Trump. I think they liked Bernie. But still, that just, that is, one example of the opposite. And he's not wealthy by any stretch, but he was a union guy, Teamster. So for, decades, he probably voted just however they told him to vote.
Well, they took the unions for granted, just like they take the black vote for granted. And again, they're just out. They're literally, I used to hear the phrase out of touch, and it was just sort of like in passing, like a filler phrase. Now I realize, no, that's actually what the situation is. They're grossly out of touch to the point of psychological pathology. They're out of touch. So, I know people are turning around. I know people are opening up, but unfortunately, it seems like the majority, because of the media and because of their viewing habits, are still blind, willful or not. They're just blind.
JR, you did not use the link I sent you. You used a different link.
Does he just like looking down?
Oh, boy. Boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
Oh, that's great. Hey, did you talk about the DOJ monitoring 24 state elections?
Trish had talked about that from Florida because she was talking about it from the perspective of what's happening there. But beyond that, we haven't talked about it.
Florida told them to piss off. Florida told them to piss off.
Did they actually basically say to get out of the state?
Yeah. Well, they said, I forget. They said they cannot. No, you cannot per our statutes for Florida. So yeah, they told him to take a hike.
Welcome back, BA. JR did not use the link that I sent him. He used the old link and disconnected you. Yeah. So it's on him. That's on him.
I'm having trouble.
Yeah. I wanted to just quickly go through these numbers again as we get some updates here, just to get a sense of where things stand in some of these key Senate races. Georgia, right here. Did he do it again? JR, use the link I sent you, not the old one. The new link. There he is. Look at, there's JR. Anyway. Okay, so Warnock is creeping back up here. Walker's leading by less than a full percentage point. Kemp still hasn't been called here, but didn't we say someone else called it for Kemp?
I did.
They projected him as the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's up almost 10 points there. So
good. Thank God.
So that's that race. Let's look at Ohio. Ohio looks pretty good for J.D. Vance, up about 9 points. They did call it for DeWine in that gubernatorial race, so that's good news. If we go to North Carolina, we see that Bud is leading by about 4, and he's over 50% there. Let's hope that remains the case for the rest of the night. This one is upsetting, but it's gotten a little closer with 49% of the precincts reporting. Fetterman has a 51-46 lead over Dr. Oz. That's still a ways to go there. And let's see, what else do we need to look at? Oh, yeah. This is not even close. I don't understand this one, Kimberly. Not even close to this, but only 32% reporting, but that's still quite a gulf there, quite a margin.
So I don't know what districts have voted in, but I don't know if I mentioned that the out-of-state college students, that's a huge number, and that's the only reason Hassan won the election last time. So we'll see what happens. What's really most important to me in New Hampshire is that the state legislature stays red. The governor already won, and he's totally a rhino. I mean, he's great on Second Amendment. He's great on some things, sucks on a lot of other things. However, I want to make sure our state legislature turns red, and the results I'm seeing from people posting them so far, a lot of it's looking good, but obviously all the results aren't in yet, but I don't know how many of you have I don't know if everybody has their state elections at the same time, if everybody's up or how their terms work. But that, to me, that's always the most important. Otherwise, I would have already left New Hampshire by now.
Yeah.
Because the federal delegation, it's totally disattached, which is why we know that it's the out-of-state votes that make a difference. Because I've done ballot recounts, and you see all these ballots where they only voted for the federal delegation and didn't vote for anyone in the state.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. They allow college students that are out of state to vote. Oh,
they were in line today at UNH to register to vote. They don't even need to. They can use a Massachusetts license ID.
That's insane.
And yeah, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Don't get me started.
Yeah. Welcome back, JR. Good to see you in the right window this time. What'd you do during your little mini vacation here, since you are the vacation man?
Well, I got that set up for this weekend. I got that taken care of.
Good.
You booked everything on Kayak?
Yeah, something exciting here. The Buffalo Bills quarterback is out for this season with a torn elbow injury.
Oh, that's not good.
Vikings play him on Sunday, and but I root for the Bills too. So I was like, so that was big news.
Wow. Yeah.
I can say that definitively. No percentage. That's it.
Yeah. We're going to get Trish back in here. Kimberly, I know that you're traveling. I hate you've given us almost 2 hours of your time here. I appreciate you doing that. Anything else you need to let us know about before you leave? I mean, do you think there's going to be any chance Baldock pulls this off in New Hampshire, your home state?
I would have to look to see what areas the votes are in, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that him and Levitt both pull it off. But I never have high hopes in this state for our federal delegation. We're completely ignored by the Democrats, by Hassan, Shaheen, Soy Boy Pappas, and Custer. We're completely ignored by them until election time comes around. They don't even hold real town halls. They refuse. They completely ignore the voters, and then they know they're going to win because the college students from out of state vote for them. Thousands of them. Wow. Literally thousands.
It's crazy.
It's disgusting. Yeah. I might have to move to North Carolina, especially if Ted Budd wins.
Come down to South Carolina. You'll love it too. Come on down. We need more. We need people to make it redder.
It's too hot down there. It's hot enough here.
Well, we have
the mountains. You guys, don't you guys have the mountains? Here? Yeah. I'm looking. I like Cleveland. There's Cleveland, South Carolina, right?
Well, we don't really have mountains. I mean, I used to live in California, so there are hills here. I mean, they're not
North Carolina has Asheville, right? North Carolina has Asheville, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, there's Asheville, but that's really not mountains. Like I think of the Rocky Mountains, but yeah, we've got some hills out here.
Right. That's
shave your legs. Yeah, you can shave your legs and put your hair up, get in the beach. You'll be fine.
We're gonna. I think we're gonna probably call the broadcast around 11 o'clock our time here. Thanks, Kimberly. I'm gonna let you go so you can get back to.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for your insight and all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to get Trish back in here for the last half hour or so. But unless there's anything radically changing about these numbers, there's probably not a lot of reason to ride them out until midnight. But JR, I mean, while during the break, I'm assuming you were looking at some of the things going on. Did you see anything that surprised you?
Well, I think the key one is certainly going to be Walker, because unless we're surprised and with Nevada, and Nevada isn't closed yet, but if Laxalt wins that, then and Walker holds on, then Oz and Fetterman don't matter. We pick up the one seat net we need to control the Senate. So there were talks of 53, 55, and really outliers 56, 57 if Connecticut or Washington State, but I think it's safe to say that's not happening. So I think it's going to be a one seat swing potentially, maybe where we're at, and I don't know for sure, obviously, because there's we got polls not even closed yet that are in play, especially like Nevada would be a flip. So we will see. But Walker seems to be oscillating within a point, to half a point ahead here. And I think it was, let's see, what was it, 63% in or something like that last I saw. So again, it all depends on where the votes are still to come from. What else was I looking
So
at?
Georgia, can I just interject really quick? I think I just got from my source in Georgia, 77% of the votes are in. Herschel Walker 1.668. Warnock is 1.64. So 1,641,000. So they're really close, and that Libertarian has taken 65,000.
Yeah, almost 2%, almost 2% of the total vote going to the Libertarian, which was clearly, it's going to be a lot of Republican votes there. 71% reported in Georgia right now in those numbers, and it's less than a point dividing the two. This is way closer. This is way closer than anybody was. I mean, I don't know about anybody, but this is way closer than what many were leading us to believe. Talking about red tsunami, about the Democrats being clobbered. I don't know. Anybody think that was intentional? Trish, welcome back. You think that was an intentional misleading, or do you think that we just got overzealous? My fault that we can't hear Trish. Now we can. Now we can hear you.
Oh, whoops. Oh, there we go. Okay. I was going to say, it's not me. I checked. Okay.
Sign language.
I know. I will mime.
That'd be perfect. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. That's amazing.
I know. So I really think that part of the problem, and I think you guys touched on it when I wasn't here, is the fact that the truly rich people who are very comfortable, none of this of inflation or any of that crap affects them. It just doesn't. So when they vote, they don't worry about these things. And those are the only people we hear about. Like, the media does not go into the hood and talk to people, because if they do, they're not going to say nice things about Democrats. So they just don't go. Like, one of the famous videos after Hurricane Ian came through was they went to, and these two black dudes, they were like, we're Democrats, and you know what? The gas is here, so we're voting for DeSantis. We don't even care. Like, we're Democrats, and we know who to vote for because we know. So they immediately cut the feed, move on. So they're not going to talk to those people. So it's really disheartening, because anybody who is smart, and that's my whole thing, people are just dumb. I used to think, George Carlin always said that, you think about how stupid the average person is, then realize 50% of the population is dumber than they are. Like that pretty much sums it up right there, because I want to think that people are smart and that people are paying attention, but they're not. People are dumb. And they're allowed to vote. And that's what scares me. And I think the founding fathers had it right. We've talked about this on the show before. I think only landowners should be allowed to vote. I don't think people who are renters should be allowed to vote, because those are the same people saying, I shouldn't have to pay my rent. Why did my rent go up? Well, because taxes went up, because inflation went up, because everything's going up. But why did my rent have to go up? That doesn't. Those landlords are just making a ton of money, huh, JB? They're all just making all this money off of me.
Yeah. My landlord experience for the last 3 years has been a nightmare. I'm not so sure I go quite as far as you, Trish, but I agree with the premise, and I think they're making it way too easy to vote. I think having a bit of an obstacle so you're personally invested in the process is important. That's why having a single election day like we used to, or I'd go as far as saying, okay, open it on Saturday, close it on Tuesday, make it 3 days. I can live with something like that. But these mail-in ballots, this 6 weeks of voting, that stuff is nonsense. It is absolutely insane. And it allows people who have nothing invested in the system and no knowledge, no awareness, to become part of a system that they really aren't prepared to be part of. Not that I want to deny them a right to vote, but I want them to be invested in it when they vote.
And your results have to be in by midnight. I'm sorry, but Florida is the third most populated state in the country, and we can get it done.
Thank you.
If we can get it done by midnight, how come everybody else can't? And that's the thing. We need election reform in all the states. I mean, listen, Florida went through hell and back to reform all of it. It took a lot of work, but it happened. And that's why the Democrats down here are so pissed, is because they can't cheat anymore. We've taken away all the avenues that they use to cheat. And that's the major issue. We need that. Like, I can't believe that they're letting out-of-state college students vote in New Hampshire. That absolutely blows my mind. That is insanity. That is literally, because these universities are just bastions for the libtards. It's true, like they all are. So that would be like letting all the students in Florida who go to the university.
Well, that's the other part of the JV Johnson plan for fixing the election system in this country is that 21 years and older. This 18-year-old voting thing is not working for me. Yeah. Those kids are not prepared to make such important decisions. They just aren't.
Listen, I agree. However, you can join the military at 18, so you can lose your life. I mean, I hear you, because the human brain doesn't develop fully until you're 25 or 26. So, I mean, let's go there. I don't want you voting until you're 26. But then again, you've got military coming in at 18, and you can get your life blown away, your arms blown off.
But you can't have a beer.
So
you can't have a beer, and you can't. There's a lot of things you can't do. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Something has to be tweaked. Something has to be tweaked. Absolutely. Listen. And Campbell Toe did say 18-year-olds are stupid. She said that, not my words, hers.
Listen, Starship Troopers, right? You have to earn your citizenship.
Right.
So if we change it to 21, then if you're in the military, then you get to vote early because you are in the military. Like if
I can go along with that.
Country,
that's
then
good.
you should be able to vote.
That's right.
But I think
I like that.
Just the kid working down at Burger King. No, I don't want him voting.
Right.
I don't, because he doesn't have any idea what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, you need a stake in the election.
Yep.
You need a stake in it. That's one thing. So I agree with what you're saying. Number two, when the fuck is it going to be a national holiday? You're going to tell me that Juneteenth is more important than Election Day?
Yeah.
Really? I'm sorry those people learned about the end of slavery 3 years too late or 2 years too late or whatever it was. And that is
right.
Really, that's a tragedy. But you're going to tell me that you just made that a holiday because, you're virtue signaling, but you can't signal to America that you're going to make it. The highest form of voter suppression, as far as I'm concerned, is that I got to jump out of here during work to go vote.
Yeah.
Well, this year I voted early, but my point is that's voter suppression too. If it's not a national holiday.
Yeah.
What if you have things go wrong and you can't get out for a week before, like New York did or whatever it was, and then you come to Election Day and then your pipes burst or your kid gets sick? Make it a national holiday.
Well, the machines don't work, and you go in Arizona, Maricopa County, you go in an hour early, and the machines don't work. You have to go to work. Oh well, you can't vote now.
Right. Yeah. Or they're out of ballots.
Right. That is voter suppression.
Yep.
Excellent point.
And they already had a judge throw out the suit that said, because they were suing to try and keep the polls open till 10 o'clock to make up for the fact that they had those couple of hours, and the judge threw it out and said no, they polls close at 7. They're not extending. Which again, that's voter suppression. That's voter suppression right there. You're not allowing people the time to vote on Election Day. That's voter suppression. Period.
What was the? Do you know what how the judge phrased it?
I can look it up and find out for you.
While you're doing that, I just want to mention that I'm looking at Arizona numbers for governor, and with 40% of the precincts reporting, Hobbs is leading Kari Lake 55 to 45.
No,
it's impossible. God. That's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah.
We're going to need to keep an eye on that. I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it's machines. It's machines.
The other key one I saw is that Ron Johnson's down to 1.
In Wisconsin?
I forget in Wisconsin, which obviously had to be a hold for what I said earlier to hold true. But again, the fact that he's within 1 and still have to go or something like that is not all that telling. Yeah.
So I got the judge's ruling, JV, if you want to hear it.
Yeah, go ahead.
The judge stated that the court does not have evidence that there was a voter who was precluded the right to vote from what was presented.
That's a lie.
That says nothing.
Are we talking about the Luzerne County polling places in Pennsylvania where they ran out of ballots?
This is Arizona, right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
this
Arizona
is
you're talking about.
Oh,
This
you're
is
talking about
this is
Arizona.
Maricopa.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Right.
Maricopa County, where they 20% in the state didn't have functioning voting machines this morning.
That wasn't voting machines.
Right.
It was tabulating machines, which,
Oh, it was the tabulating
yeah,
machines?
which are a little bit different, I think.
So that's that. They're saying that does not mean people were denied their right to vote.
So in the middle of treating people today, I get a text, and the text from my wife says, we're running out of pens that work here. I know it sounds incredible, but can you go buy us 2 packs of pens, black pens, please? And I said, it's not April Fool's, it's election day. Are you messing with my head? She says, no, you're the one in the family with the sense of humor. No, I'm not messing around. Can you please go buy us pens? So, of course, I have to close the practice during my break, which, normally I'd be sitting on the couch, and go buy pens and drop them off.
Wow.
Pens, okay? Pens. Jesus.
Kind of like Christmas. I didn't see it coming. I don't have any presents for the kids.
Yeah, right. Right.
So the
you had one job.
You had one job. The pens they use are felt.
Yeah.
And so they were running dry. And so I went and got ballpoints, which should last them until 2035 or 34, whatever. I mean, I have stupid stories that I could share probably all night if I could remember them, thanks to the alcohol. But it's not helping. It's not helping.
I know. I put a little too much vodka in here. So
let's all visit the nightmare scenario. BA, I'll start with you. So let's say it's still pretty. I'm pretty confident saying that the Republicans are
delicious. Sorry, I'm listening, but I got distracted by the delicious liberal tears. Oh, it's so filling. So nutritious. Sorry.
So Republicans
actually, it's void of nutrition. Sorry.
Republicans are going to hold take control of the House of Representatives. That's still pretty certain. But let's go nightmare scenario, and and it remains 50-50 tied in the Senate. Whatever. Obviously, the House of Representatives can stop the Biden agenda, so we're safe there. But the fact that this was not the red wave that everyone was talking about is going to do what to the Democrats and the Biden administration? It's going to make them feel like they have a mandate of some kind.
You bet. It's going to embolden them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to embolden them. And then, in the Senate, Camel Toe is the one who's the breaker, right? The tiebreaker. She's the president of the Senate. So she'd be like, the moon, it's so amazing. It's so white and round. But I think that a lot of projection, the red wave, there was a red moon this morning. I mean, they kept going on and on. I just say, shut up and just show up to the polls and let's see what happens. Because the Democrats were saying, oh no, there is a red wave. Even CNN was saying it, MSNBC. And I think that we should be more like Trump. It's like, we're going to go out and we're going to show up and we're going to do our best. But I think that the Democrats were expecting that, of course, this whole big red wave. And if it doesn't happen, if it doesn't come to fruition, then I think we might be stuck back where we were, today, as of today, and they're still going to be running the roost, running the chickens out of the coop. Yeah. So I kind of obviously concerned about that. But how long can we keep this demented patient in the White House? How much more can Americans take? Something's going to break. Something's going to give. Something's going to happen.
Yeah, the insanity, I agree. The insanity is not going to stop. As I've always told people who are willing to listen, the more you walk deeper into the theater of the absurd, the more people are going to recognize how absurd it is. I mean, the more absurd it gets, people have to wake up. But I will say that in listening to Dick Morris, he's right. The Democrats are just, they're better strategists. They don't sit on their haunches. They get out there and they bring ballots to houses and they organize, and just Republicans are just not as organized. And unfortunately, we were counting on a red wave, and I knew that there was going to be election fraud. And here we are. Here we are, sitting here like hoping that we hold on to the Senate for a majority of one seat. So, JV, I feel like I need to have another drink, but if I do that, I won't sleep well.
Well, I'm not going to sleep well either way.
Let's look at the bright side. Let's look at the bright side. Even if we win by one seat, we still won. And I know it's only one seat, but that's better than being one seat as the minority. So
100% correct.
I am not an optimist, and anybody who knows me can tell you this. So for me to tell you, I'm looking at these numbers, and I keep going back to looking at how independent voters are voting, because that's really the key in these races is the independent voters. Like in Florida, independent voters were huge turnout for the Republican Party. Huge. Like the final numbers still aren't in Florida, but we've got like 90-something% in. DeSantis won by 20 points, everybody.
Wow.
20 points.
I'm moving to Florida.
Yeah. So but it was the independent voters, and so again, we're not going to know a lot of these races until the end. And I will take a win 51-49 any day of the week, because that's better than losing 51-49.
You just helped me stick with water.
Good point.
So I hope my mom is listening, because Mom, I was just optimistic. Damn it. You better write this down. And
I'm so proud of my daughter. I'm so proud.
She's usually lurking in the chat on Getter. So
Johnson has caught his opponent, so that's now even.
Good.
And Herschel's holding up a 1-point lead, and Oz has closed it to 1. So
that's good news.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, let me pull up those numbers here.
I'm not prepared to comment on the worst case scenario yet here, if possible. But
this shows it at 2 points. So I'm not sure which is more current, what you're looking at, JR, or this. But either way, it's a lot closer than it was.
Yeah, and there's still probably 35% of the vote still to come in.
We still got a third of the vote to come in. So like I got a good feeling.
And here's Georgia, just under a point.
So you've got Savannah. Mm-hmm.
Just under a point. And again, if neither of these candidates gets 50%, there'll be a runoff in December. Mm-hmm. It'll be December this time, not January.
Jeez. Yeah, we forgot about Savannah. Savannah's very lefty loony. Savannah is, and again, and some of Augusta is as well. That's true. You're right. Yeah, money.
Where's the money? And I think that's where we have to go. Wherever the money is, that's where the blue's going to be.
All right, so let's talk
so
a minute about
spread the wealth.
Let's talk a minute about next Tuesday, where Donald Trump has said that he will be making a huge announcement. We all know what that announcement is going to be. What are your thoughts on it, BA? How does that change things?
Praise the Lord and hallelujah. I can't wait to vote for him for the third time. Wait, I'm so excited. And people say, oh, I don't want Trump. I want Trump. I want him in all of his glory. I want him in his Twitter tweetdom. I want him to just, I want Trump. He's the only one I think that can lasso these crazy leftists, and he says what he feels. I love the guy. I think he's great. He is not a perfect man, but he's a perfect man for the job. And I cannot wait to vote for you, Mr. Trump, again for the third time.
JR, you share BA's enthusiasm?
Yeah, somewhat. I think a critical component, when we've touched on it tonight, has been the role of the media in, let's say, suppressing the red wave, in basically giving free cover and advertising and support in spite of what I think we would all could say is, a perfect storm lining up against the Dems. And yet, they're getting cover every day. So with, I don't even know what to say about Muscat and Twitter and how quick he could, if he even will turn that around to the extent that he could. But if the public square changes, conservatives aren't getting banned. The truth starts coming out, at least to somewhat a greater degree, and there isn't the cover. and we get a strong Republican candidate, which I think we will. I'm just not sure which one it's going to be, but certainly there are many aspects of Trump that I love a lot, and if it happens to be Trish's governor, then I will feel very good about that as well. So, but I think for it to be different, we have to have a different media. And we talked about that, because it doesn't matter how bad it is, people don't get the information they need to understand it. And there's I don't know what percentage you will call wealthy, but their lives haven't changed. I talked about it in the past about the cartoon I saw years ago, 40 years ago, when we had all this inflation and the recession was coming, and there was this wealthy guy on Wall Street runs up to a sign on the window, and then there's a bum that rolls out of the alley next to him, and they're looking up at the window, and it says sale because of the recession, and they both look at each other and go, what recession? Because they're both in the same boat, and the wealthy people, I mean, they're living a bubble, and thus their social issues are the things that are most concerning to them, because they don't have money issues. So we're right about that. That's not going to change. So somehow we've got to meet all those people in the middle that are otherwise completely influenced by, the media telling them what's not happening. I truly thought, gas pump issues, grocery store issues, those are bread and butter issues that you would think people would have voted more for. And maybe they are still. I mean, it may not be, they may not be winning by 10 points. If we can win by 1 or 2 and still flip some of these seats, which still could happen. We've got the West Coast still to come in. I think it was Ron Johnson. Where is he here? Oh, it's the governor race. But I think Ron Johnson holds. Herschel's up 0.6% now, with 85% in per CNN.
Wow.
And it'll be interesting to see how Oz, if he continues to close the deal there. So, I'd take 51, like Trish said. 52 would be great. I think Biden's comments really irritated Manchin over the weekend. You got to think, and he lambasted the White House.
Manchin is a poser. Okay, let's be clear about this. Manchin gamed the system. They all did. I think they're all in on this game together. He was never the middle of the road independent thinker that he pretended to be for so long. They got a bunch of weak-minded Republicans to agree to this infrastructure bill and spend $1.2 trillion on that. And then they just circled around and passed this Build Back Better agenda under this name of the Inflation Reduction Act, whatever the hell it was, and Manchin went right along with it. So he may have gotten a couple minor concessions along the way, but he was part of the game the whole time.
Yeah, well, that was a green. I call it the green giveaway, because that's really what it was. But
and he got played, and it's going to hurt him in the future.
I don't think he got played. I don't think he got played, no. Trish. I think he played. I think they were all in it together. This was an attempt to change the dynamics of the midterm election in August. That's what it was. This was, I think, part of the plan from the beginning.
I just wonder why a governor, a senator from a state that is so deep in the coal mining industry, would think that their state was going to somehow be okay with a green agenda. Like, how could you be that stupid to think that? I mean,
because
maybe he
has
had
so much
backdoor
money.
Deals. Yeah, because he doesn't care.
Because he has so much money, he doesn't care. Right.
And Bill Gates was courting him multiple times. Bill Gates was seen going to West Virginia multiple times and courting him. And Bill Gates is giving him money.
Yeah, he's probably going to put him on the board, get him on the board of directors of Microsoft when he leaves the Senate. He probably won't run for another term. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
I think we just need to go back to non-paid seats. Nobody can make money being in it. They'll provide housing, they'll provide your, transportation, but you don't get a salary. You don't get a retirement after serving one term in the Senate or the House.
Right.
Now, We need to go back, because back at the beginning, these were unpaid positions. People did this because they felt a civic duty because they had a stake in the government. Now they don't. Now it's just a way for them to make money. So we need to go back to the old school. Sorry.
And part-time.
Yeah. Can I make $174,000 a year working part-time? Because I'll sign up for that gig any day of the week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And somehow you can
I'll
still
quit
become
my
a
job.
millionaire on top of that.
Yeah, that $174,000 is only the beginning of the money that comes in.
It's a math that I don't quite get.
Yep.
And suddenly I don't have a mortgage anymore, and suddenly I have billions of dollars in the bank. Like, how did this happen?
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to no fraud. I'm looking forward to us not indemnifying social media big tech. I'm looking forward to the fact that we can sue them at some point. So when we get rid of this whole Section 230 thing, and we also do what Trump wants to do, which is get rid of 50,000 members of the administrative state, and then with Twitter maybe doing what it's supposed to be doing, then I think we could head down the right road within the next 10 years. But you gotta stop indemnifying these big tech giants. I do that and break them up too. It's out of control. They control too much information, and there's too many deadbeats in Washington that aren't doing a damn thing for us. Period. So that's my 2 cents.
And by the way, I want to circle back to this Abigail Spanberger race, which I said was a bellwether. And when we looked, Vega was leading the race. It has been called in favor of Spanberger. So the Democrat won there, according to the call that I just saw.
Hence the name, spam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So bad for you. Don't eat spam. It's it's not nutritious.
God.
Anyway, so looking at some of these races that are still kind of poking around out there that we're not sure what's going to happen that are important in this whole equation. Here's Georgia. Latest is 0.3% is where we are separating Walker and Warnock.
Wow. I mean, that's the Bible Belt. Georgia is part of the Bible Belt. That's just incredible.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
No, I know. That's Georgia, I think, the balance has been tipped in Georgia. It's a purple state now. Going to Pennsylvania, here's what we're looking at here. It's a 1.5 difference. Fetterman Oz, 65% of the vote has been counted. I didn't realize, but there are 3 third-party candidates. If you look at the list here, they've taken, 71, 80, 90,000 votes, 91,000 votes out of the system. I don't know where they took them from because I don't know who they are, but yeah. What else? I don't see any others on this quick button list, but there we are. There we are. Man. This is not the jubilant night we were hoping for yet. We got some pretty long faces here.
Listen, I have to in Florida. I'm sorry. Like we have every.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, you should be.
That's true. Yeah, the South Carolina's holding its own, but I think we're gonna have to, moving forward, no matter what, we just need two parallel economies, right? That's what I've been doing. I cut off AT&T, and now I have Patriot Mobile. I love Patriot Mobile. I'm not getting paid for saying this. I love it. They're fantastic. They're a Christian conservative cell phone company. They're wonderful. They're in Texas. When I call them up, they're like, Trump 2024. I'm like, yes. Anyway, I'm saving $60 a month. I love it. So we're going to have to go, and we buy Mike Lindell's pillows. And I've cut off Amazon. It is going to be a parallel economy. I think that's how we can crush the left by doing this. We got to. That's another nail in the coffin for them. That's what we have to do. We've got to inconvenience ourselves and not go to Bed Bath and Beyond, and not go with AT&T and Verizon. Pure Talk, Patriot Mobile, Mike Lindell. There's a lot of different ways that we can move alongside, but independently at the same time.
I consider that. I can. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that
Walker's up a 0.9, 86% in now.
There we go. Jeez, this is going to be a nail biter in Georgia.
Now Ron Johnson's up a point.
Wow.
Good.
So I think part of the thing with social media, and I know that a lot of people are not Elon Musk fans, but I can tell you Twitter is a different beast this week. Normally during the week before an election, every conservative gets their account hammered. They get shadow banned. They get search restricted. That did not happen this time. I see people on my timeline now that I have not seen on my timeline for years. I mean, we had the great purge before the 2020 election. I lost a third of my followers in like one day. A third of them were just gone. So, I mean, and I have not, I mean, I'm still working. I'm almost back to where I was. But when Elon Musk, from when he took over, I've gained probably 10, 15% of my followers back in just a week.
That's such good news.
Things are changing. Like a lot of leftists got their accounts because they all thought it would be funny, the little blue check marks, to change their name to Elon Musk and then go around and say, oh, you should vote for Democrats because they're going to, blah, 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 which is a violation of Twitter's TOS. You can't do that. You can't pretend to be somebody else and give a political endorsement. So he went through, and Kathy Griffith, she got permanently banned. So then she went on her mother's account, her mother who passed away years ago, and was like, the left is so used to not having to follow the rules. They're so used to only the right having to follow the rules.
I think the best
changing.
example of that, Trish, the best example of that was last week or the week before when the White House posted the tweet about Social Security, the COLA increase for Social Security recipients, and they were fact checked, and they didn't know what the hell to do. They deleted the tweet. They were so surprised that they actually got called on the bullshit that was coming out of the White House that they didn't know what to do.
Right, which has now resulted in an ethics investigation, because is that a violation of ethics for the White House to say something like that and then delete it? Like that, I mean, I think that brings up. Listen, if Donald Trump telling everybody to peacefully walk to the Capitol and let your voice be heard is considered inciting violence, then you know what? Like, we got a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things. So I know Elon Musk is not a conservative. I'm not fooling myself. He is but he's a pragmatist like Trump.
He's a businessman.
That's the one thing I do like about him. He's a pragmatist. So he is going to do what is best for his company.
That's right.
And if what's best for his company is to get rid of the advertising model that had been going on before and turn over to, let's make people pay for their blue check marks, get verified, pay for your blue check mark, and then everybody can monetize. That's when you're going to see a lot more money coming into Twitter, when you have more people that are allowed to be verified, whereas before it was only a very limited, and they were usually leftists. I mean, we had Republican candidates who were on the ballot who weren't even getting blue check marks because Twitter would not verify them. They would verify.
Now it should be red. It should be red check marks now. Like, let's put a cardinal up there, shall we? Let's change it up.
Exactly. Make it a red bird and not a blue bird. But I mean,
cardinal.
I think we're going to see a lot of changes. And I think that might have been part of it this week, is we had a lot of people who were allowed to let their voices be heard on Twitter who normally would have gotten suppressed to nothing this past week. So
such hope from the left corner or the right corner, wherever this is. Such hope. Thank you. I love it.
I'm Cindy. I'm down in this corner.
Yeah, but it's hard to point in the right direction. There, see, I did it the first kind of.
He did it.
It's difficult. It's really difficult.
So yeah, but I'm not, and again, I am not an optimist. I am cautiously optimistic because I am seeing trends. No, I just follow the trends, and the trends I'm seeing are positive ones. So I'm going to be cautiously optimistic, and I'm going to hope that Pennsylvania counts the ballots sometimes this year, because we all know how that can go. So I'm gonna hope, and I'm gonna hope that Arizona, some kind of miracle happens in the next hour or two.
Yeah,
Trish, I just want to say, Trish, I think that you, as a shrink, I have to offer a useless professional opinion here, but I think that I think you've become a trans optimist.
Oh my God, no!
I think you have.
I'm now bigoted against myself. I can't. What? No.
Can't you write a prescription?
This is a whole different problem now.
Is a trans optimist? Is that a real term?
No, I just thought it up. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You better trademark
Trans
that
optimist.
quickly.
I like that.
quickly.
I'm gonna put that in my Twitter bio, John, that I am now a
Trans
please.
optimist.
JV,
According to
let me ask
my
you a question.
shrink. My shrink.
Even if the worst case scenario happens and we only take the House, all the committees change. We become the chair of these committees. What do you think the role of those committees are? I mean, should it be either A, more important to have a contract of America and fix inflation, fix our energy policy, to the extent we can, or do we go after some of these alphabets that are being politicized? Where do we go actionable for the benefit of the country, or do we try to fix some of these craziness that has been going on, or do we try to do both?
Well, if we only have the House, it's going to be pointless to really try.
Theater.
Well, it's theater more than anything else. Any legislation that comes out of the House will be dead on arrival at the Senate, and it's not going to go any further if we don't have the Senate as well. So it won't even make it to the president's desk for a veto. So I think the only thing the House is going to be able to do to move the needle in one direction or another is to look into some of this stuff, whether it's a Hunter Biden investigation, which, if we're being honest, it's not really about Hunter Biden. This is really about Joe Biden. Hunter Biden is irrelevant in this whole thing. It's about Joe Biden. He's the one that really needs to be investigated. And maybe they can have an effect on DHS and Mayorkas and maybe have some kind of impact on what's happening at the border, but that's questionable. Beyond that, there's not a lot they're going to be able to do. There just isn't.
Let me ask a question. So they will be able to disband the Jan 6 committee, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So they'll be able to let the grandmother out of jail. Right?
That I don't know, because the grandmother, it's not the J6 committee that arrested her. It's I'm assuming the FBI. It might be even local DC police. I don't know what the jurisdiction is there, but J6 committee has no authority over who stays or goes as far as jail, from what I understand.
Even though there's no charges filed and they've been there for well over a year and a half. Yeah.
If the J6 committee was anything legitimate, they would be looking into that and putting pressure on the Department of Justice to release people like that or give them the trial they deserve. Which is really what should happen. And maybe Congress under Republican leadership can do some of that. But beyond it, they don't have the authority to order people out of jail.
Wow.
I know. We're not going to stay.
We're all going to meet at a bar.
Yeah, I wish we could do that. We're not going to stay on a whole lot longer because I think a lot of these other races are going to be well into the night before we get any real answers. But let's just take a look at where things stand at this point. Let me see here. We've got this is the total for the Senate right now. 45 to 45 is what's been called. If we go to Georgia, that race, it's about 0.6 of a point in favor of Herschel Walker right now. If we go to, let's see, I guess North Carolina is still kind of close. Well, not that close, but 51 to 47. If we go to Pennsylvania, that's a very important one. 49.5 to 48.17. So it's a little less than 1.5 point difference there. Chad is saying that number is getting better for Oz. It keeps ticking in the right direction.
I just saw 0.7. Yeah, 0.7 was the last one I saw.
Yeah, and that's with 67% of the precincts reporting. If we go to New Hampshire, we've got almost 47% of the precincts reporting, and it's a significant difference. There's a check mark for Hassan. Is it Hassan or Hassan? I don't know. But there's a check mark for her. It looks like they called it for her. Mm. They called it for her. So looks like that one's over, I guess. I don't know. But that's where things sit right now. If we go over here to the governor's race, this is another one that's still, I don't know. Hobbs is leading Kerry Lake 57 to 43 with 47% in.
How?
Yeah.
For all that is good and holy, how?
Now,
Are people truly that brain dead?
Well, how much of that is Maricopa County? Have they fully reported yet?
I don't know if it tells us. Let's look here if it'll say. Yeah, it doesn't say there. I mean, maybe. Let's see here.
Maybe if you go to the Arizona website, yeah, it may.
Yeah, this is not telling me.
You might have to go to the Arizona state.
If we look over here for New York governor, with 61 reported, it's 55.5 to 44 in favor of Hochul.
55.
Well, Texas looks beautiful. Texas is red. That's nice to see.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. Georgia needs to follow suit.
Yeah,
man.
Anyway, so that's where we sit at this moment.
Well, I thought I'd be happier.
Seat went red. My school board seat went red. I just found out.
Stop gloating, Trish. Now you're just gloating, okay? And now it's just not fair.
Excellent.
Now it's just not fair.
Getting dumped in Florida was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I would like to take this moment to thank my ex-husband. Thank you so much for abandoning me in Florida with your children so that I can enjoy this time right now living in the land of the free. Thank you so much, Tunny. I hope you and your new wife are happy.
Optimism is literally coursing through your veins.
I know. I think it's the vodka, to be honest. Pretty sure.
See, JR, are you drinking, JR? I'm not drinking. I think that was my mistake from the outset. Oh, look at that.
See?
So did you guys go over Ohio? JD Vance? Did you guys go over Ohio?
Yeah.
Yep. He has a check mark next to his name. So
he's been called.
In Ohio.
Yes, he's been. Yes, he's been called. Yep, he's been called. Excellent. That's great.
7. That was a hold. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about governor of Wisconsin? You know what? I want to know about that one.
I think it was called for the Democrat.
Oh, wow.
Was it?
I think so. Well, if it wasn't, he was up like 4 or 5.
No, it's not called yet. It's 50, basically 51 to 48.
3 now. All right, narrowed a bit.
It's about 70% in.
Evers, 50.8 for Evers and 48.2 for Mitchell's.
Yeah,
come on.
Was it
70%? Still 30% of the vote to go. There's still 30% to count, so that's pretty close for being with 30% left.
I think Oregon was considered to be a late possible pickup for Republican governor. Right now, there's a 10-point.
That's right. The summer of love is hopefully over.
Actually,
it's less than a point
less
between
than a
those
point.
two.
Yeah, less than a point with only 46% reporting. So,
yeah. So
that's
that one
that's in Oregon, less than a point?
Yeah.
Yeah, less than a point.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw some video of Portland. I saw some video of Portland, Oregon, where all the shops were boarding up their windows because they were convinced that the Republican was going to win and there was going to be mass riots when the Republican won.
That dang white supremacy MAGAs, they're just crazy.
I know. We're nuts.
It shows that Kelly is up in Arizona, but there's only 47% reporting for Kelly, Democrat, the incumbent, at 771 to 528 with Masters.
All right. Well, I think we're going to call it here, as we can all watch the rest of these by ourselves in the privacy of our homes. So if there are any tears shed, they're not done publicly. I guess we can say at this point, there's still hope that at least we come out of this with something to be proud of. Certainly the House. I think the House is still a given for the most part. Right now, I think it's just the fact that we're kind of our egos are bruised a little bit. I think is really what's going to come out of this, sadly, and it's going to make the Biden administration crow about some kind of mandate that they don't actually have. I think that's going to be the result. But
it's going to be Jim crowing. That's all the way,
or Jim Eagling, whatever the hell that is. I want to thank everybody who spent the night here with us as we chatted about some of this stuff and called and talked about some of these races. It's not over. Obviously, we're going to see how the rest of this turns out. It may be a few days before we really know what's going on. But Trish, John, BA, JR, and to everyone who was on earlier, thanks so much for being here, everybody. And anyone want to offer some final thoughts? Trish, you're making us all jealous with your returns there in Florida. Sadly, up here in New York, we're not going to be quite as happy with the outcomes.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm very sorry for New Yorkers. But please know that Florida would love to have more conservatives.
Yeah.
So when we do secede from the union, then we'll have all the conservatives down here.
BA, I know you feel the same way about South Carolina. You'll welcome any Republican conservative that wants to come down.
Yep. Come on down. The South will rise again.
You haven't been a Southerner very long, have you?
About 9 years.
9 years? Okay.
That's long enough.
That is long enough. Sure. You don't have, you don't have an accent.
I can say y'all.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
No, I'm working on it.
All right.
I'm working on it.
Nice.
Y'all, all y'all.
JR, any of your vacation plans include a red state anytime soon?
Sorry to say, I don't have any immediate plans to leave New York. I've been my magical mystery tour of started in the summer, proceeded through the fall, and now into the holidays.
Yeah, I'm
pretty much stuck around here, I'm afraid.
All right.
But I, usually we do go down to Tampa at some point, and I forgot about that. I do have a golf trip.
Oh, of course, yeah, right, yeah. See, there it is.
Orlando.
There's the truth.
We're going to Orlando.
So now, so you can come to Tampa and enjoy red Tampa now. Orlando's still blue, but Tampa is now red. So
yeah, and John,
and even Palm Beach County went red.
And John.
Wow,
John, you may need to go see someone in your profession for a little help too after tonight. I mean, we're all gonna be licking some wounds here.
No, I think my profession charges too much, so I'm just going to take more sleep medication, and I'm just going to say that thanks to Trish, I appreciate the fact that I feel better about my closing in Florida at the end of this month.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, I think that's wise. I think that's wise.
Can't wait.
All right, listen, everybody. Again, thanks to all you guys. Thanks to Vince. Thanks to Matt Couch. Thanks to Kimberly. Did I get everybody that we had on tonight? I think maybe. If I missed you, I'm sorry. My brain doesn't work.
Elmo.
Oh yeah, thanks to Elmo burning down the house in the back there, and thanks to everybody who was watching. We appreciate it. And I think we might have a show tomorrow night as long as I can rustle up enough people to be on with me. We'll plan on doing that. So everybody have a great night. Stay optimistic. This isn't over, and at the very least, we're going to be able to stop the Biden agenda with the House of Representatives.